And for the record, there was an episode of Happy Days where a guy literally jumped over a shark, and it was the best one. Troy Barnes. Ladies, gentlemen, and variations thereupon, this was all just a dream. Welcome to Modern Escapism, the podcast that jumped the shark the second we named it. My name is Oodles, and today I am joined by... She once hid inside a fridge to avoid a nuclear blast. It's Candy Machine.
Hello.
To save his friend from certain death, he repeatedly punched a boulder into a volcano. It's Gadget.
And I'll do it again.
And a man that literally coined the phrase, "You're gonna need a biggie boat." It's Biggie.
Brilliant.
And today there is no Stig because he is at home doing his hair. So we're going to have to plough on without him. So somebody, please tell everyone about the Patreon.
I can do that. So, yeah, we're going to keep banging on about it week on week. We have a Patreon.
Until you're all paying for it.
Yeah. And it's lovely. It's marvellous. It's wonderful. It's going to pay for Oodles' addiction to dragon soup.
Yep.
Everything that we do is free. You know, you don't have to pay for it. But if you want a little bit more... We have 3 tiers on our Patreon. First one being Modern Escapees. It's $5 a month. It's for this show. It guarantees you at least one bonus episode every month. Guaranteed, nailed on. But, you know what we're like. We put content out like it's nobody's business. You might get more. Like, in the last month, there's been 4 extra bonus episodes of Stig and Oodles talking about Loki on Disney+. By all accounts, they're doing quite well at it.
We are.
On top of that, you also get the extended episodes of this particular show. So you get to the end of each episode, there's about an extra half an hour of us prattling on about whatever we want to talk about.
It's basically us in the smoking shelter.
Yeah, it's usually pretty unstructured, and there's usually some weird bullshit comes out of it, but it's pretty good. There is also the Scorched Sheep tier. If you want to support our D&D podcast, Do Dragons Dream of Scorched Sheep? That one is also £5 a month, and for that one you get early access to episodes. So episodes come out every other Friday. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you get them every other Wednesday. You also get them ad free because we run adverts on that one, and you also get any artwork that Candy does for it, any extra musical or character sheet related stuff that we happen to put out, and you also get the opportunity to submit item descriptions, NPC names, anything like that for me to include in the campaign as it goes along.
We're getting some really nice feedback on that show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you just happen to like everything that we do and you love us unconditionally, well, you can put that to the test with the Biggie Bundle, which is £7.50 a month, and it gets you everything. Including
me for a week.
Yeah.
He will do a striptease.
Yeah. He'll also grease himself up and give you a cuddle.
Do I get that?
No, you have to pay for it.
If you need any envelopes licked, I'm your man.
Oh, that's one of my least favourite things to do ever.
Exactly. That's why I'm willing to step up.
Marvellous. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that, you can hop over to patreon.com/modernescapism. Everything's all laid out there. It's a marvellously good time.
And you become a jerk if you don't.
No, they don't. Be nice to the listeners, Oodles.
No,
I keep telling you, I will come down there. I will come down there and put you on the naughty step.
Please, Daddy, no.
Oh, God, this is already taking a turn.
Stig when I need him.
Stig's going to be crying into his cereal right now, isn't he?
Excellent.
But yeah,
thank you very much.
It's a thing.
Thank you very much. You did that with aplomb, mate. Brilliant.
Marvelous.
Thank you. And what a week it's been. I don't know, by the time you're hearing this, we might not still be in the football, but currently it's coming home, and that's why my voice sounds disgusting. However, I am still the host. I don't have days off. Stig. So, Biggie, what have you been up to?
I also enjoyed the football. I'm also hanging, but I'm here too.
Good lad.
But yeah, a couple of things I watched during the week. One, again, in one of those random things, I was searching on Prime and came across a title of a documentary. and it's called In Search of the Last Action Heroes. And it's a documentary basically detailing the action genre over the past 50 years. And there's lots of interviews with action stars, directors, writers, people involved in the game. There's fans, there's authors about who have also covered that. And it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Really surprised me how long it was.
Bloody hell.
But they just talk about everything, what the original westerns in the 50s, and then goes on to the movies with Steve McQueen, like Bullet, French Connection. Then obviously it goes on to the 80s with your classic Stallone, Schwarzenegger movies, through to the 90s to present day. It was just, really cool. Really just enjoyed sitting back, and there's a lot of stuff in there that you know, so it's not going to surprise you, but it's just nice to just watch stuff that just being covered and talked about. Really, really cool. Can't recommend it.
I like them kind of documentaries. It makes you feel all nostalgic and warm, because those films that I grew up with I know I was too young to be watching half of them. Films like Demolition Man, Rambo, Terminator, all them. Oh my God,
Predator was the one for me.
Which one?
Predator. Absolutely love it. I watched it when I was about 6. My dad got an absolute bollocking for recording it for me.
But that's covered. Really worth watching. And then at the end, there's some anecdotes as well while the credits are rolling. So there's stuff that they didn't obviously put in the main documentary. They thought they'd put it in the end. It's really cool, including an interesting one for I forgot his name now. The guy that played, is it Ronnie Cox that played Dick Jones in RoboCop?
Yeah.
So he was asked, would he be interested in the sequel for RoboCop 2? And he went, the sequel? And they went, yeah. And he goes, well, my character died. He went off a building 140 foot. And they went, yeah, but we've got an idea. If we can bring RoboCop back, we want to bring you back as Robo-Villain. Robo-Villain.
Robo-cunt.
Perfect.
Oh, you throw that word around like it's nothing.
That's how we do it in the South.
But highly recommend that. It's on Prime. But the main thing I wanted to very quickly cover was that I finally got around to watch with the missus was Captain Phillips.
I've still not seen that.
Oh, mate. I've
seen the memes.
Good. It's Tom Hanks.
I am the captain now, that kind of meme.
Probably being the least Tom Hanks he could be, I think, in any of his movies. He actually brings a bit of rawness to this character. So I feel like it made Tom Hanks look a lot more vulnerable than he normally does in movies. So I really appreciate his performance, because sometimes I can watch a movie with Tom Hanks and I feel like I'm watching Tom Hanks. But actually
I get that.
This time he actually made me actually feel like I was watching this guy. It's based on a true story. For those that don't know, it happened in 2009. A Maersk cargo ship was sailing through the I've forgotten the name of the area now, the Somali Basin, around the Horn of Africa, and unfortunately they end up in pirate waters, and they're attacked by pirates. And then the film covers what happens. I don't obviously want to ruin it for anyone, particularly you who
I remember the actual story.
Yeah,
in real life.
But I did read up afterwards that the film pretty much follows what happened. There's very little added in. I'm sure there's a little bit for
you don't need to change a story like that, mate. No. It's incredible, isn't it?
But what they cover, what happens in the movie, apparently kind of happens. So sometimes they have to put in a little bit to make it more interesting or whatever. But I think apparently it's kind of roughly how it went. Really, really good. Incredibly well shot by Paul Greengrass, I think it is.
Yeah, it's a Greengrass, I think.
Yeah, it's excellent. Really, really recommend it. Really enjoyed it. And I can't believe I left it so long to see it. But we're absolutely riveted. And it also shows you exactly how to make a movie with a ship in trouble exciting.
Is that a dig at James Cameron? You do know he listens to this.
So did it have like a 2-hour love story before the actual action started?
Oh. But actually
James Cameron will be furious.
Actually made it gripping as well, like Speed 2, about how you can make it look dangerous and fast on the water. Really recommend it. It was really good.
Excellent, Captain Phillips. Brilliant. Candy, what have you been up to?
I also watched a film. I watched Amazon's new high-budget sci-fi thriller called The Tomorrow War.
I watched that this morning.
What did you think of that?
I'll let you tell them first.
So, starring Chris Pratt, we learn through time-traveling Marines that in 30 years the planet's been invaded by a hostile alien species and that citizens of our timeline are to be drafted to help in the war effort. Chris Pratt's a high school science teacher and ex-military, gets drafted in, told that he, along with other candidates, have a week before they're brought back to our timeline. So, if they were in the middle of anything important, if that buzzer goes off, they going back. It doesn't matter what they were up to. I actually quite enjoyed this, despite it being a silly premise. And there were like 1,000 like time-based paradoxes. I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's sort of thing. I don't know if you noticed this, Oodles, but did you find that it was kind of a movie and a sequel all in one?
I thought the film had ended, and then there was another hour.
Yeah, that's part two. So it comes to
that's like you're playing Dragon's Quest 11.
I was literally, it does that. I was literally ready to pick up the remote and change it, and I'm like, what? An hour?
Yeah,
fucking.
And it really takes it down a notch as well. The second part, without going into spoilers or anything, but yeah, so all the action is all front loaded. It came to this amazing kind of dramatic.
Amazing's a strong word.
Well, a very dramatic scene.
That's better.
And then it doesn't cut to the end credits. Oh no, it keeps going.
It goes to Tomorrow War 2, doesn't it?
Yeah. And 3, you might even say.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fun.
Would that be the day after?
The day after. That one's taken.
The day after Tomorrow War.
The day after Tomorrow War. It was a good popcorn movie, though. I sort of regret not being able to see it in the cinema because some of the visuals are actually quite good, and there are a few intense moments as well. I thought the aliens looked pretty cool. Good design. They're kind of danger from all ends.
Is it good CGI?
It's decent, yeah. The CGI is fine, and there's... Oh, shut up, Oodles. I can see you shaking your head. You let me have my moment. No, it was fine.
I'm gonna, don't worry.
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. It's not going to win any Oscars, as I always say. J. Jonah Jameson's in it, and he's amazing as always, playing a grizzly old dad.
Didn't he look good
does
with
grizzly
beard?
very well.
He did look good with a beard, didn't he? I thought he looked
bushy beard.
kind of an action hero, which I'd never seen him.
My wife went, oh, he's a bit sexy.
I thought that too. Bit of a silver fox going on.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just a bit of brainless fun.
I think it was decent as well. It shouldn't have been a 2.5-hour film. It should have been a series. But they never do that, do they? It seemed overly long. As we've said, it seemed like it was the main film and the sequel smushed into one. Chris Pratt.
Is he just doing the Chris Pratt thing?
No, he's a bit different, actually. This is different. This is Chris Pratt with a family and a reason. He's all right in this. You can tell he was the producer of it because he's in every single scene. And I think the CGI is a bit ropey in some parts, but the monsters are fun. There's not a lot to differentiate them between each other, but it doesn't have to. I thought there would have been a twist, but there's no twist. It's very straightforward. It's better than a lot of disaster, because it's as well as being a sci-fi, it's a disaster film as well. It's all right. I give it a solid 6-7 out of 10. A push. I am hungover. I watched it today, so maybe it's the honeymoon period kicking in.
I saw a comparison somewhere. Somebody mentioned about Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise movie.
It's not as good as that.
No.
No.
Has it got a sort of similar kind of vibe in that sense? So I really enjoyed that.
No, I think it's quite different.
Yeah, I didn't really get that particularly. But it's got the same sort of feel of a sort of modern sci-fi. I think Chris Pratt's kind of taking on the mantle of modern action hero as well, like you said, Biggie, about sort of where are all the new action heroes. I think Chris Pratt is probably taking a bit of advice from his new father-in-law, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I do like that he's like built up. He's a muscly man, but he'll always have that dad belly, and I like that about him. He's got that. He's still got a little bit of punch.
In that documentary about how he had that sort of indestructible Stallone, Schwarzenegger sort of 80s action hero, and then it sort of changed again, and then sort of now, what are our action heroes? Who are they? You got The Rock, who absolutely does look indestructible.
Jason Statham.
He's quite vulnerable as a character, generally. I think he's got that sort of humour side with The Rock. Jason Statham just seems to be the action dude.
Don't worry with Tomorrow War. There's no pathos to it. There's no like.
Yeah, I agree. I think
there's nothing to it.
Characters tomorrow.
The movie, some of the movies that Chris Pratt has done, he's probably going to head down that direction. I think I can see that happening.
He's better in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
But then he has that humour with it as well, doesn't he?
Which he does. He's not the funny guy in this.
Yeah, his style has always been the funny guy, the quippy guy.
He's not in this, is he, Candy? He's just the main.
He's just the action star.
He's
I think
not
the main
funny one.
difference now is that back in the 80s, just to be an action star, you just had to look the part, whereas now you have to act a bit as well.
Yeah.
I think he's two war buddies that he goes in time with, the comedy relief, and so is J.K. Simmons. They're the comedy relief in it. He's not. He really. I mean, might have one joke in the whole thing.
Even J.K. Simmons wasn't super. He wasn't doing the full.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Don't. I think it should have ended though, an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
And then it should have released a Snyder cut.
Or it could have just been a two-parter, couldn't it?
Yeah, two-parter. Yeah, absolutely. It's all right. Anything else?
From me? No.
Yes, from you.
No, that was it. That was the end.
What a week you've had. Gadget, enlighten us.
My week's been a bit quiet, so I've got a couple of things I'm going to talk about. I tried the Monster Hunter Stories 2 demo on the Switch.
And
I really like it.
Yes.
It's a JRPG version of Monster Hunter, and I know, like, I spoke last week about kind of my difficulty with getting into modern JRPGs, and like the kind of you get this one suffers a little bit from it, where it has that kind of very plodding opening, like, you know, like the opening cutscene, you're showing some great drama where something happens, but then you start off like, hey, you're the rookie, let's go train you up in how to deal with monsters, and let's go do this, and you like do like about 2 hours worth of busy work before the story starts. But it does a few things I like. I like how they've kind of transplanted the combat from Monster Hunter, which is usually quite frenetic real-time combat with melee weapons or ranged weapons, and kind of transplanted it into that Final Fantasy style active time battle. You are fighting alongside like your monstie, which is monsters are what you fight, monsties are what you ride, and it's just really terrible wording. Your monstie is like it's got this kind of Pokemon element to it, where you're kind of collecting the monsters and making them friendly, and they become your kind of buddies, and you kind of ride them into battle. And you know, there's a lot of kind of
buddies, your monsties.
Monsties, yeah. Oh, God Almighty. And yeah, you get a lot of these things where like your attacks can synergize with the monster, and you can do like kind of buddy attacks and combo attacks. It really leans hard into that JRPG trope of like, there are 3 kinds of damage that you can do, and you have to do the opposite one to what the monster's doing.
It's the Pokemon thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and but it leans into it so much that when you're actually selecting your attack, you have a wheel to choose from, whether it's like power, speed, or technical, and you have to just get the opposite corresponding one to whatever.
It's rock, paper, scissors, isn't it?
Yeah, it does some stuff I don't like. I don't like the wisecracking Palico buddy that you've got.
Neither
who
do
speaks
I.
with a New York accent.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh God, he's so annoying.
That's not game breaking at all, is it?
Oh, well, the thing is, right, the character you play as it's a little bit like in Dragon Quest, where the character is mute. You do a bit of a character creator thing, so it's not like a set character like in Dragon Quest, but you do a character creator thing. Whatever character you create is mute throughout. So, what's his name? Naravu?
Naval, something along those lines.
Something like that. Either way, he is effectively your voice.
He's the main character from the first game.
Yeah, but he constantly refers to you as my buddy, and every time he says it, I want to kick him into the sea. The other conceit is like to do the kind of the Pokemon side of thing. To get the creatures, you actually have to raid nests and steal the eggs.
It's not good for vegetarians, this game.
No, and when we talked about Monster Hunter Rise when that came out, I kind of praised it on the fact that they changed up the dynamic of it, because previously in Monster Hunter you were going into a habitat and killing things that just existed there. Whereas with Monster Hunter Rise, they're kind of, you're defending your village because the monsters are constantly attacking that area. This kind of then takes it back to that other way of going. It says, like, hey, look, there's a monster nest. The monster's not around. Let's steal an egg.
The one thing I didn't like is, like, at the beginning, they're like, we don't hunt them, we ride them. But to ride them, we have to hunt them.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
There's also other stuff, like, it's made by a different team that made Monster Hunter Rise, so it's not using the RE engine. It's got this quite quaint, it's kind of cel-shaded art style, but I think Monster Hunter Rise looks much better than it.
It's the best looking game on the Switch, I think.
Yeah, and I think the music in Rise is much better, but the music in this is pretty good. Like, I like the battle theme and I like stuff like that. So I'll get the full game. Like I say, I do like it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you will.
But I don't like it as much as I like Rise.
No. It's nowhere near as good.
But no, it is good. The other thing that I want to talk about is the reason why I was talking about Monster Hunter Rise is I don't have a lot to talk about this one, but this is the main one I want to talk about because it started today. It's Summer Games Done Quick has started, and I love it. so 2 weeks of a year, you just get a brilliant festival of speed running, and this is the summer one. So if you're unaware of what Games Done Quick is, it is a charity live stream that runs over the space of 7 days, 24/7 across that as well. It's like there's constant streams going on it, benefiting in this case the summer. It's Doctors Without Borders. And it's basically a cavalcade of speedrunners breaking games for our entertainment and for charity. And it's wonderful. I love it. I watch it every year. Every year I donate. Every year I've already bought the t-shirt for this event. I bought the one for the last one, and I bought the one for the one before that. I always buy the t-shirt and give a bit of money to them. And yeah, it's just wonderful. Like, so it started this afternoon as of recording. So I watched the pre-show. The first run that they did, Oodles, this one will break your mind. Because it was Dragon Age Inquisition.
What?
Done in 40 minutes.
Fuck off.
Seriously,
took me about 40 weeks to beat that. boring weeks.
Yeah, no, they did it in 40 minutes.
Okay, I wish it were like that when I played it.
How can you do a game that big in 40 minutes? Yeah, but
I mean, that one is a glitch one. In that case, they were playing around with a few things. So, like with Dragon Age Inquisition, they have the thing. It's the warboard, I think it is, where you've got to like build up so much power through like jobs that happen in kind of real time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of they get through a couple of the checkpoints with it, and then they just like time travel. They change the PC's time, so it thinks, oh, they've been playing this game for 40 hours and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, because I mean, how on earth could you do a game that big in 40 minutes?
Well, there's also stuff like kind of they found a map glitch. Like so the previous time that they did it, Games Done Quick, it took them 2 hours to do it. They found a map glitch where it's basically really early on in the game you can do a certain button combination that unlocks every fast travel icon in the map just within the first half an hour of you playing it.
You need that.
The one I watched after that was F-Zero GX.
Ooh, love that.
Beating all the races in an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so because obviously this has been going on now, and as this comes out on Thursday, I've got some picks for some stuff that I think everyone should check out with it.
Yeah.
So for Thursday, these are all UK time as well. So, you know, if you're elsewhere in the world, work it out. 7:50 in the evening, Outer Wilds.
What?
It's a beautiful game. In an hour. So it's basically 3 cycles of the game.
Yeah.
The Doom Eternal DLC, so the Ancient Gods 1 and 2, that's on at 11 o'clock.
It's supposed to be about 10 hours long, isn't it?
Yeah, and they are half an hour each that they're estimating to do those in. On the Friday, just after 8 o'clock, is Celeste with some custom maps.
Gotta watch that.
So these are maps made by third parties. They do a few of these, like they like doing like ROM hacks with Mario and stuff like that. So these will be psychotically difficult maps. Like obviously Celeste is already a difficult game, but like these custom maps will be ridiculous. Also on Friday is Breath of the Wild. That one is 2 hours hitting every shrine.
Fuck off.
And then beating the game. So that's 120 shrines and beating the game.
I've still not got 120 shrines. I've had it for 2 years.
Is that with the first weapon they get as well that doesn't break?
Is it fuck?
On the Saturday, really early on in the morning, but I know you'll be interested in this one, Oodles, Fire Emblem 3 Houses in an hour and a half.
Fuck, what?
Then Super Metroid at just after 6 o'clock in the evening. Super Metroid in an hour and 20, which is actually a pretty decent time for Super Metroid.
Yeah, it is.
Hang on. Again, that's insane.
He's so confused, the poor man.
Well, it is. There's a lot of backwards and forwards in that game to go and unlock everything.
I mean, don't forget, Biggies. People have done glitchless runs of Dark Souls in 40 minutes.
Well, also the Super Metroid one's a race as well. It's three runners against each other. Whoever finishes first. Those are the ones I love. And then the last two I'd recommend because they're always a good time. Dark Souls 3 in an hour.
Oh.
That's also glitchless.
What?
Wow.
That's killing the 5 unoptional bosses, isn't it?
Yeah, that's any percent. So they don't have to hit every single boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, still getting from the start of the game to the ending cutscene.
I can do it in 5 hours. That's my max. That's my earliest.
and the last one is because the first time that it's been on, because it's only just come out, the Demon Souls remake. In an hour.
Oh, there'll be no glitches either.
Nope, that's any percent on the current patch. So, yeah, really do get on that. It's a really good charity drive anyway. It's a lot of fun. They also have like prizes if you donate. If you donate so much over it, it's like cumulative. You can be entered in raffles for prizes. The top prize this time is that you need to donate more than $250 across the whole event over the space of the week, and you get entered into a prize to win a replica Master Sword and Hylian shield.
Ooh.
Like forged, like proper metal.
Ooh.
That's me in.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely great event. I love it, and I'll talk about it on the Nexus every time it comes up because I watch it every year, and it's one of those things. I don't watch it all live, obviously, because it's 24 hours, but it then provides me with a great amount of entertainment on YouTube.
I like that.
Following on after.
I like that Zeusy Toast guy, whatever he's called.
Hey, Zeusy Toast. Yeah, he does the Bloodborne ones. Sadly, he's not on this one, but you can follow his Twitch. I mean, he does Bloodborne all the time. And then, like, across, I mean, obviously the other ones across that, which will have happened by the time we're talking about this, but like Super Mario Brothers 2 on All Stars on the SNES in 25 minutes, which that's an ungodly time for that one. Mega Man 2 in 20 minutes on the Game Boy.
Whoa!
Yeah, some really mental shit here. Like they're doing like X-Men 2, The Clone Wars, Tomb Raider Anniversary, Link: The Faces of Evil, which is the CDI version of Zelda. and also, you know, based on what we talked about last week from Candy's point, Majora's Mask, they're doing that in under 2 hours. And that's 100% run as well.
Whoa!
Oh, God.
Yeah.
There's some random choices in there as well, isn't there? That X-Men 2 Clone Wars or whatever it was you said.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a random one.
It's classic.
It's just a classic X-Men game. Like they're not all modern games that they play, and they're not all kind of just 90s games as well. There's like a lot of games just from all across things. Like they've got stuff like Crash Bandicoot 4, which obviously came out last year.
It's about time.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, Little Nightmares 2's on there. That's part of the horror block as well, which has also got Dead Space and Resident Evil 7.
Oh, I bet you can do 7 in really. I did 7 on Madhouse in 3 hours.
The Resident Evil 7 one's another race, and that's an hour 37 they've estimated.
I can't do that.
Metal Gear Solid 3 HD in 1 hour 20.
Whoa!
Which and that's on European Extreme as well.
So you can't get spotted.
Can't get spotted. But also, I mean, doesn't it take an hour and 18 to climb that ladder in it?
You can't skip that. So that's 2 minutes 30.
Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn in 2 hours on New Game Plus Ultra Hard.
Don't believe it.
Whoa.
So yeah, go and watch these things. Like if you look on gamesdonequick.com/schedule, you'll get all the schedule for it, and it's just twitch.tv/gamesdonequick.
It's something to put your mind off the football, isn't it, Gadget?
Well, you
don't have to think about that.
Yeah, that's it. You get football, I get speedrunning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy with that.
It's coming in quick.
It's coming quick. Yeah.
It's coming home in a rush.
Excellent, good shout. This week I have been watching the football, obviously, but I have also been playing a game for the past 3 weeks, and I'm in love with it. I'm in love with
Dragon Quest 11.
No, it's not at all. It's Super Magbot by Astral Pixel. Disclaimer: I was given a code for this by the lovely guys at Team 17. This is a 2D puzzle platformer without the most essential button, the jump button.
What?
What?
Yes, there isn't a jump button on this. I think this is incredible as a 2D platformer. I like it more than I like Celeste.
Whoa. That's strong words.
Yep. It's not been reviewed as strong. I mean, it's been favourably reviewed, but it doesn't have the emotional gut punch of Celeste. But I think the platform in itself, the structure, it's more structured like Super Meat Boy. So Super Meat Boy. Super Meat Boy.
That's the
Hungry.
Where you get a world and then you've got like 20 levels in that world. If you remember Super Meat Boy, it's more like that. There is a story there. Do you know what I mean? You just try to save the magnetic galaxy. You play as this little Super Magbot, cute as a button. Proper pixel style. And the most fascinating thing is, you don't have a jump button. So it's all about magnets and how magnets work. So
how do magnets work, Oodles? Please explain to us.
There's a red side and there's a blue side. That's how magnets work.
Yeah, science.
Yeah, smash that. So with the controls are the craziest thing. So you use the left thumbstick to run left and right, obviously. The right thumbstick to aim your magnet beam. And the trigger buttons to choose which magnetic polarity. So that's how you get away with not having a jump button. So if you press the right trigger for the red magnet, and that's your red power or magnetic polarity, you're going to get bounced away, aren't you? Because that's how magnets work. Red and red, bounce away. You can't. I don't know the science words. But
Repel.
if you use the blue on the red, what's going to happen?
Attract.
You attract. And that is the premise to the game. It's, oh my God. At first, I thought this is the craziest button, the scheme, because it's just a 2D platformer.
I was going to say, just the way you're explaining it there, it sounds like it would be difficult to wrap your head around.
It took me, mate, it took me at least the first world to really figure out what's happening. And it proper guides you in gently. And after a while, I still kept having to look at the switch in my hand, for the buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
And after about world 2.5, maybe world 3, because there's plenty of worlds, it was just there. Do you know when it just clicks and you're in? And it was second nature. I even changed controls to my wireless one, so I didn't even, because obviously my switch is blue and red, with the Joy-Cons. And that's how the buttons are, the red polarity and the blue polarity. So it was easier for my eyesight, but then I changed it to my Pro controller. I didn't need the colour coding anymore. I mean, if you do suffer from colour blindness, there is colourblind mode, which makes it even easier. If you don't like difficult games as well, because it's fucking rock hard. There's an easy mode where you can have loads of checkpoints and stuff like that. It's just, oh my God, it's just so fucking good. It's hard to explain why I love it so much without just me throwing the game at you and telling you to play it for 2 weeks. It's so good. I bought it for my son's Switch. So even though I got a code, I bought it again because he was watching me play it. He's 8 and he's nearly completed it. So he's got the easy mode on, and do you know what I mean? Making it easy for him. And he absolutely adores it. So it's just fun for everyone. I don't really know what much else to say about. I'm currently writing a review on it. It's just like people say, "Oh, I love Celeste," but what do people say when they first talk about Celeste? They talk about the emotional, the story, and how it's a good metaphor for mental illness and stuff like that, and the climb. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If you're not into that shit, just play Super Magbot. If you just want to lose yourself, this is pure gameplay, and I'm a big fan of pure gameplay. There is a story there, but it's just they know it's tongue in cheek. It's quite funny. It's just so good. It's just so good. So
it's interesting you mentioned about the easy mode as well, because that's been a point over the last year, whatever, about difficulty in games. Should there be an easy mode or not? And I don't have an issue with it being there. Like, obviously, Dark Souls is fucking doing my head in sometimes. But if there's an easy mode, that's great if people want that. But then it takes away from the whole idea of how that game should be played. But at least if the option is there for people,
it's just checkpoints. So it's not like you're cheating yourself out of the actual mechanics, or you're not skipping level. You're just checkpointing it, which is it's absolutely fine.
Well, Celeste had the assists as well, so you could trigger like infinite jumps and stuff, and infinite boosts and stuff like that. So
I think for this kind of game, like, I am not going to hide the fact that I used the easy mode on the last world. It was rock hard. I'll get to a point where I could have broken my Joy-Cons. So I thought, you know what? Rather than having to buy another £60 pair of Joy-Cons, I'm just going to knock it down to easy. And I got through it, and it's lovely. And I've started it again. I'm trying to beat my time because it's optional, like on Celeste, where you can get the fruit and stuff. Yeah. There's optional things you have to collect before you get out of the levels and stuff like that. It is structured. It's Super Meat Boy and Celeste mixed into one. Get rid of the emotional gut punch, and it's just an absolute. It's just a whale of a time. I absolutely adore it, and it's the best 2D platform I've played in years. I absolutely.
I'm into it. I'll look that up.
It's cheap as well. It's not expensive. I think I got it £12 as well. So, and I'm telling you, I got about 20 hours out of this. Nice. But if you just want to steam through it, 10 hours, you're done. It's really good. Play it.
I'm going to give that a go. Is it Switch only, or is it on other platforms?
Xbox PC, I think.
Cool. I'm going to check that one out.
I recommend it on Switch because it's one of them where you're nipping down to toilet for a poo. You can get a level done while you're having a poo. Or you're waiting for some toast to pop up.
Quote for the box.
Yeah, you've put some bread in the toaster. You know you've got 3 minutes. The levels take roughly between 30 and 1 minute. 30 seconds to 1 minute each level. If you're really good at it, like I can blast the first world now. I've collected everything, and that's why I've gone back to collect everything. It's just so much fun. The music's good, but obviously you know what I'm like. Eventually, I just turned it off. But yeah, I really love it. And if I were to put a score in it already, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
Ooh, coming in hot.
I adore it. Please, please, please play it. And if you don't like it, I'll refund it for you. That's just for you guys, not for everyone listening.
I'm going to say, wow.
Right, that's us all done, because Stig's still not here. He hasn't turned up. Biggie, what are we discussing this week?
Yeah, this week, it's all about things that jump the shark. What things in all media, when and truly reach the heights of ridiculousness that they nearly or did completely ruin a series. And as Oodles alluded to earlier, the phrase actually derives from that 1977 episode of the sitcom Happy Days, in which the character Fonzie jumps over a shark.
It is the best episode.
Water skis. And it's that bad, actually, that there's a brilliant scene in Arrested Development where his character in that actually jumps a shark.
Yeah,
as a reference. It's brilliant.
Spoilers, I'm still watching.
You can cut that out.
I can't.
Not from his head.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So, yeah, as Modern Escapism does, we jumped the shark many, many, many moons ago. We're just going to do our usual round table. We've got some honourable mentions later on. We're going to start with Gadget.
Okay, so the first one. Well, both mine are video games, incidentally.
No
the first
way.
One, shockingly enough, I like games. The first one isn't actually like a thing that derailed a series. I'm talking about jumping a shark mid-story.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen.
We're going to talk about the 2005 video game Fahrenheit, or if you're not in Europe, Indigo Prophecy. It's the second game by Quantic Dream, the second directed game by David Cage.
Hello, I'm David Cage.
The perennial video game baddie.
I am a director of games.
Yes, and he counts as a video game baddie because he inserts himself into his games.
He's a fucking bellend.
Is he in there?
A massive bellend.
He's in every game he's done.
Yes.
I never realised that. I never realised that.
Most of his games he does like Hitchcock walk-ons. Like he has a scan.
Or sometimes he plays an NPC or something.
Oh shit! Yeah. I did not know that.
There was one game, I can't remember whether it was Fahrenheit or whether it was Heavy Rain, where there is actually him talking at you in the game.
Yeah, it's Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, yeah. So Fahrenheit is a 2005 it's like action adventure story game. You play as a man called Lucas Kane, and the game starts with a mystery. And I always like when a game starts with a mystery.
The best start to a game in a long time, I thought.
Yeah, in the game you start off in a public restroom in New York. Your character standing over the dead body of somebody else holding a knife.
Yeah.
And you have to do then a lot of contextual stuff to like, what do? Do you escape? Then all of a sudden the police are outside, like not looking for you, but there's like a policeman comes in to use the toilet and stuff like that. And it's like very tense, very emotional. And you escape from that. And then as the plotline goes on, it becomes this kind of like twisting. Yeah, spoiler alerts, but twisting web of mystery. It involves your ex-girlfriend. It gets a little bit supernatural, which is not where it jumps the shark. The supernatural stuff I actually thought was not bad.
It's quite explained, isn't it?
It's explained reasonably well within the world. There's also kind of an allegory to like kind of Lucas is losing his mind a little bit, and he starts seeing things, but you can't tell whether that's his mental state or whether it is something supernatural happening. There's a really shonky sex scene about halfway through it, but that's every David Cage game.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah,
it really is every David Cage game. There's some terrible dialogue, some really bad graphics, but you get to the kind of the 2/3 point about the film. Tensions. There have been many. You end up in, I want to say it's Mexico or something like that, but basically
south of the border.
Yeah, south of the USA. There is
the UK. You weren't in Brighton.
There was things going in there. There's kind of like Mayan sacrifices and Mayan calendars and a bit of Aztec shit going on there. You find a military base because there's always a military base, and then Lucas gets killed.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the game doesn't end there.
Nope.
Because Lucas is resurrected.
Yes.
By artificial intelligence.
Because he is the Omnichrist.
And you get this sort of ridiculous scene where Lucas kind of reanimates himself. He kind of like shocks back in life. And standing over you is this kind of... It's like segmented... You know what the Protheans look like in Halo 4? These kind of like floaty, segmented alien creature things. Like that. And he announces that he is an artificial intelligence that seeks the Indigo Child, who is a young girl who carries a secret that grants unlimited power to whoever hears it. And it goes fucking off the rails from this point on.
Fucking shite.
It's so bad. The most annoying thing about it is, up to that point, I mean, even when like the supernatural stuff gets in, and even that gets a little bit tenuous, like when you move down to Mexico or wherever they end up. That stuff gets a little bit tenuous, but it still kind of makes sense within the story. And then you just get it's like alluding to like this is not only artificial intelligence, like this is the internet.
The internet's a baddie.
Yeah, it's like the artificial intelligence wants to spread itself through the internet and become everything.
Bear in mind, it would dial up at that point.
Yes, it's so bad.
The Jesus metaphors are so on the nose, like. When he like resurrects, he's doing a crucifix and fucking
the savior metaphors are so on the nose it makes the Matrix Revolutions look subtle.
Yeah, he does. Literally, if someone said to me, "Do you want to play the second half of Fahrenheit, or do you want to watch the 2 Matrix sequels that apparently exist?" I'd watch those. You know what I mean,
I've played this game, and I
loved the beginning of it.
I don't remember.
So the thing is, it's entirely possible to miss this.
Oh yeah.
Depending on the choices that you make.
Depending on your ending.
Yeah, but this is like the canon ending. This is how it's supposed to end. Like when you're resurrected by the AI. God, I can't even say it with a straight face. When you're resurrected by the AI, that's kind of like canonically like where no matter what ending you get beyond that point, that is supposed to be how the story ends. But you can actually get an ending without seeing that at all.
Yeah,
because
like
this was the first time David Cage was experimenting with this kind of branching narrative story, which he's gone on to do with like Heavy Rain and Detroit and stuff like that. But he kind of put far too many into it. So many permutations. Yeah. But everyone I've spoken to about this game over the years got the AI bit, and it's just like
I got it by pure accident.
Yeah, everyone collectively rolled their eyes at it. Like I'm playing, I'm just like, just pottering along my little 2005 self, just bopping along to new metal and pop punk and all that, and then playing this and thinking, oh, this is some deep shit, man. And then as I've grown older, I've realized, no, this is the ravings of a lunatic. David Cage should not be allowed to write things down.
Should have been stopped then.
He shouldn't be allowed to put a shopping list together.
So, at what point did you say this happens in the game? About 2/3 of the way through?
Halfway.
2/3 of the way. Halfway to thirds.
Do you think they got to the end of the game, thought, right, we finished it, let's hand it in, and then they said, actually, wait, we want to charge 50, 60 quid for this, we need another 10, 20 hours?
It's quite a lengthy game up until that point.
So there wasn't a point, you don't think
it.
they said, right, just start chugging caffeine and just write anything. No one cares. No one's going to get this ending.
I reckon this was Cage's idea from the get-go. He wanted to do something profound, and he'd been watching The Matrix and reading the Bible and mixing them together, and fucking hell, a lot of acid.
That was my next question. Do you think there were drugs involved?
And French acid, the strongest acid.
But all the reviewers at the time, they criticised the last third of it, not just because of that particular plot point, but also the fact that the game crashes to an end because it was so rushed at the end. They put, like I said, David Cage put too many permutations into it, and too much stories. It's so overwritten and overwrought. The dialogue is dreadful. The actors are doing the best they can. They're not, performances aren't bad.
No.
One of the things that you'll notice about Quantic Dream games is character performances are usually pretty good. It's the words coming out of their mouth that are fucking dreadful because David Cage cannot write,
and the fact that most of the non-main characters are clearly French Canadian. Clearly, they've all got that. They've all got that French Canadian twang because I don't think he can speak English very well, so he's obviously trying to direct people that can speak French with him and also can do that American accent.
Yeah, just to spoil one part of the absolute ending of this one, because this is a David Cage game, and you spend, obviously all your time as Lucas being hunted by a detective. The detective is a woman; she's a very good-looking woman. Of course, she's pregnant at the end and living with Lucas.
Yeah, they had
because
sex.
That's how David Cage writes women.
Not as bad as it's not as bad as the Beyond Two Souls shower scene.
No, nothing much is.
No, nothing much is. But it's up there.
Yeah. Or the Heavy Rain shower scene, for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
The two Heavy Rain shower scenes.
What about the Detroit shower scene?
Yeah. I'm beginning to see a pattern here.
Yeah, so am I. His next game's just going to be a shower simulator, isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
I know it's off topic, but I still love that glitch in Heavy Rain with the press X for Jason.
That's not a glitch.
That's not a glitch at all.
It's so funny. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, just check out that YouTube.
Jason!
That's amazing.
Jason!
Do you know what? Heavy Rain, it just appeared on my PlayStation one day. I have no memory of downloading it. It just appeared like that U2 album on the
Cage put it on for you.
It was just there.
I'm surprised you've never met him.
It was, I'll tell you what it was. It was like, was it a freebie for lockdown or something? I'm sure it was something like, here's a gift from Sony.
Please don't give it to me.
Yeah, it was something like that. I'm sure it was.
No, wasn't it one of the games that was given away when PlayStation had that massive hack in the PS3 era?
Yeah, it could be that.
Yes.
It was something. It was definitely given away for some reason.
I think on PS3 generation, that one.
Yeah. Don't play Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit or whatever you want to call it. It's bad.
No, just play a different one, like Until Dawn or something like. Not by him. A game similar, but not by him.
Fucking play Man of Medan over this. That's how bad this is. Play Man of Medan over this.
I liked Man of Medan.
Did you?
Yeah.
You're the one of...
I am the one.
The only one.
Mind you, I do like some dodgy games.
There are literally dozens of you, Candy, who like Man of Medan.
Tens of people love that game.
I know them all.
Excellent. Good first start. Good first shout. I'm going to do the next one because I fancy changing the order up because Stig's not here to shout at us.
You make it sound like Stig's some kind of taskmaster for us.
He is the taskmaster. I want to talk about games, and a game that I thought, similar to you when you first played Fahrenheit, oh, this is profound and cool, when I first played it in 1999, I want to say. I want to talk about Final Fantasy VIII. And those that have played it know what's coming.
No, yeah. Oh.
So people
Again,
that
squander potential.
Yes, people that have not played this game, it is a Japanese role-playing game, very typical of Final Fantasy. If you've seen any Japanese role-playing game, you know exactly how it plays. I don't want to talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is fine. Well, it's adequate. The story. Oh, boy, where do we start? So you start as Squall, or in my case, Oodles, because you get to name him.
Because all characters are Oodles to you.
He's not a silent protagonist, which is nice. This starts the game. He's in a school of wannabe mercenaries called Seed, and you just think, oh, this is going to be one of those anime.
He's a child soldier.
Yeah, they're all 15, 16, something like that.
I think Squall's the oldest. He's like supposed to be 17, but the rest of them are like 15.
And his teacher, Quistis, is 19.
The old hag.
Which is weird. And yeah, so it turns, when you're playing it for the first 20 hours, it seems to be very anime, school of gifted youngsters. Very emo. He doesn't like to open up himself to others as the main character. He talks to us a lot, doesn't he? He talks to the player a lot through his mind and stuff. And then something wild happens about halfway through. So the main antagonist is Sorceress Idea. She's the sorceress. She is the evil baddie. But she's not. She's not at all. She is a sorceress that is controlled, but I've got this written down because I forget. A sorceress that is controlled by Sorceress Adele, whom in turn is controlled by Sorceress Ultimecia, and who turns Renoa, the main love interest, into Sorceress Renoa, all down to time compression. It goes fucking batshit crazy. Now, the game struggles to explain its own plot to itself and to us, the player. Basically, you have to go to the moon to stop what they call the lunar cry, where monsters are plunged from the moon for some kind of phenomenon on some kind of moon bridge that's made of monsters. So monsters climbing on top of monsters. Think World War Z, but on the moon. And these monsters, every 50 years or so, come to Earth and lay fucking rampage against the Earth. And that's why the world's inhabited by monsters. That's not the fucking jump the shark moment.
Shockingly enough.
Yeah, the jump the shark moment is the actual... Some call it a conspiracy. I call it a fact. At the end of the first disc, massive spoiler alerts, the main character dies. And people assume, people say this is a conspiracy. So the main character, Squall, dies, he gets killed, then he wakes up, and then the rest of the crazy just fucking stupid game happens. It's fucking stupid. And at the end,
all wasn't resurrected by AI by any chance, was he?
No, he's just dead. He's just dead. So basically, the rest of the game is just not real. It's fucking limbo. It's a dream. It's Dallas. Is it Dallas that did the dream thing? It is, isn't it?
It's Dallas, yeah.
It's that. And to the point where the game doesn't even tell you that. It took years and years later for the developers to tell you that. And then the developers started denying that again. And it's become this whole Final Fantasy VIII conspiracy circle where it's now jumping its own shark multiple times because time compression. It's very difficult to explain. So if you've not played it, just play it for the actual gameplay if you want. Because I mean, have you guys played it at all? Can you explain the plot any better than me?
Yeah, it was the first Final Fantasy I played, actually. And looking back at it now, do you know what? I never thought it jumped the shark when I played it, which I would have probably been about 15, I think. Mm-hmm. But looking back at it now, it's, what the fuck was that game?
What about the fact that your party that you've been playing along with, like 10 party members, it all turns out they were all from the same orphanage growing up, but they forgot.
That's right, and they forgot everything because of the summons, wasn't it?
Yeah, they forgot.
But from what I took from, well, not the ending because I don't want to spoil, and I don't really remember it, but I remember thinking that actually that it ended up that Renoa was Ultimecia and that Squall was her summons.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I never finished it. Surprised.
Not like you.
But yeah, I got quite far in it though.
By Final Fantasy standards, it is the most overwritten.
It's ridiculous.
Like they've Final Fantasy VII tells a reasonably straightforward tale.
Yeah, with a nice little twist. Yeah,
but you've got the run of the story throughout it
adequately.
And it's explained to you. Whereas I think they tried to do something clever with it because I think they had the narrative idea of having the Squall story and the Laguna story.
Yeah,
yeah. And it's quite an interesting little mystery, like how the two are connected as you go through the first couple of discs.
And it's never explained.
It's never explained.
It's assumed.
It doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of ends.
Yep.
And but they put in so much metaphysical crap into the dialogue that isn't actually translated that well. There's some dialogue that comes out, you just think, what the fuck are they talking about?
Yeah.
It's better than Final Fantasy VII's translation, but not by much. And it's a really frustrating thing because apart from the story, it is one of my favourite Final Fantasies because I like the battle system.
Yeah, it's great.
The world. I like the design of Seed. I like
loads
the design
of
the
summons.
World.
Loads.
Yeah, the summons animations are beautiful.
Yeah.
The graphics are a real step up from 7.
They were. Yeah. They've got fingers on this.
But fuck me, the story.
It even has a proto Wakanda in it. The Esther, the city that's hidden from the world. It's pretty cool, but then why isn't that city helping the rest of the world when there's a sorceress about killing everybody? And it does the she's not really the baddie 3 times with different baddies. Do you know what I mean? It's like, come on. It's just, he jumps the shark like 6 times. And then think about it, from Final Fantasy VIII to Final Fantasy IX, which goes back to its humble beginnings. It's all simple and nice and straightforward, kinda. It's just, I don't know. It's just it puts a bad taste in my mouth just when you think of the plot. I know people love it and people love the characters are well written. Apart from Irvin, he's not very well written. He just turns up. The orphanage stories. It seemed like a last minute, that one. And it's weird that they all end up like shagging each other, even though they were raised as brothers and sisters. And one of them's the teacher and she still wants to shag him. It's just, it's a good game, but it's just that plot, man. It needs, people say, oh, we wanted the FF7 remake. No, I wanted an FF8 remake and I wanted it to make sense. And now they seem to be doing,
you wouldn't get that.
With FF7, they seem to be doing the FF8 thing. So it's like, stop it. Stop doing it. So yeah, Final Fantasy VIII is jumping the shark, the 10 sharks in a row like Evel Knievel. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking mad. So, Biggie, what you got?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this one affects Stiggy slightly. So
he's not here.
I'm not going to spoil it too much. It's just, live free or die hard. That just frustrates me.
Which number is that
much.
4?
4. It's just it's such a
5.
weird...
It's 5.
Oh, sorry, 5.
4 was Die Hard 4.0.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the one where you start off. If you think back to Stiggy's favourite, Die Hard, John McClane was just sort of your everyday cop.
Come out to the coast.
In the wrong place at the right time. But yeah, he's just a normal person. And then by this point in this movie, I mean, John McClane basically, he ends up being involved in bringing a known hacker in to help the cyber security division at the LAPD after a recent suspicious outage that happens. And while he's trying to pick this guy up, he ends up having to rescue the hacker from an assassination attempt because it, of course, ends up on the wrong end of a terrorist group trying to fight this really bad villain played by Timothy Olyphant.
Isn't this number 4? I think you're talking about 4.
Is it 4?
Yeah. With Kevin Smith in it.
I can't remember. Is he?
Does he jump on a jet?
Yeah, which is
number 4.
Talk about.
That's number 4.
Sorry.
It's number 4.
So it's Die Hard.
They all blend into one at a certain point, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm going because I've never seen 5. I'm like, God, 5's just like 4.
Yeah, no. This is Die Hard 4.0.
Justin Long and
Yeah, it was just
4.
The bit that I want to talk about is the John McClane versus the fighter pilot.
Jump the fighter jet, yeah.
It's just, he ends up, this is near the end of the film, this is obviously come up to the climatic part of the movie. But you go from all the action scenes that John McClane's been involved in to then suddenly trying to control an 18-wheeler truck whilst going up a freeway ramp, getting shot to shit by a jet. And as the ramp collapses, parts of the debris fall towards the jet that is so close. Doesn't need to be. So he ends up flying behind the ramp where the truck is collapsing. And then more damage ends up hitting the jet. And then the back of the truck opens. John McClane rolls through the truck. And then he ends up flying in the air and landing on the wing of this jet as the pilot ejects out of it. and then he has to jump off a spinning jet and land safely, and he does without a scratch.
Bear in mind, this is the film he did kill a helicopter with a police car.
The explosions, it's just so ridiculous. It's lost everything that Die Hard stood for.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing with the original Die Hard, the first 3 Die Hard films, is that John McClane was just a normal guy.
On number 1, he was a normal guy. And number 2, he's a normal guy that's got rid of the terrorists and had to do it again. And number 3, he's just got a hangover.
He's just he's absolutely hanging. He's basically Stig.
Yeah, the whole thing is he is just a normal guy. Like, he's not. I know there are things that he does especially in the first Die Hard film, that are completely unrealistic. Like the whole thing with the fire hose jumping off the roof kind of thing. That would have killed
Dalmatian.
Yeah. But what made those films different to the other 80s action films was that, like, he gets injured. Like, you see him struggling. He's
not muscly either.
He's not a one-man army.
No.
Yeah.
Whereas in Die Hard 4, he kills a fighter jet by jumping on its back. It's like the worst Shadow of the Colossus ever.
It's so infuriating. I was I knew it wasn't Die Hard 1, 2, 3. It wasn't as good as those. I knew it wasn't going to be really. But at that point, I was kind of just accepting the movie. But when that happened, I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm literally done. He's flying around on a jet wing, holding on.
It's why I haven't watched number 5.
Neither have I, clearly.
It's even like Timothy Olyphant, which he's so handsome it hurts. He can't even save that film. Do you know what I mean?
No, he's awful in it as well.
Yeah, he's terrible.
He's such an annoying villain, but not for the wrong reasons.
And also, Kevin Smith's cameo is completely pointless. Like, he adds nothing to the film other than
the Warlock, exposition. I think they call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But yeah, it's just that film infuriates me. Just watch that clip. It's just, oh. I don't know why Bruce Willis accepted that as a scene as well.
Money.
He had a mortgage to pay.
He's done some dodgy ones, to be fair.
He had a divorce to pay for,
you think at least he'd say, this actually goes against the character slightly. Can we not just tone this down a little bit, or
he didn't give
find
a
a way
about
to
the
make
character.
It realistic? Oh, he must have done. He made his money out of it.
He doesn't give a fuck.
But yeah, sorry, that one, that movie just really wound me up.
So, rather than jumping the shark, he jumped the jet. Excellent. Candy, you got...
this one's going to bring back some sore memories, and it's already been mentioned, actually. It's the Matrix sequels.
There isn't any.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best not to talk about them, but I'm going to, because I had to watch them for research again, so I'm going to make you all suffer as well.
Why have you done that to yourself?
Wow.
To bring drama to the show.
I've seen them both once.
I think I saw them both once, and that was it.
I've seen the first one about 50 times.
Yeah, and I want to talk about why the first one is so great. It was a new concept. It spawned the saying, I feel like I'm in the Matrix. Amazing soundtrack, not too overdone. And I think it sort of stayed within the realms of believability. It completed Neo's story act.
There was an ending.
Sorry. There was an ending, yeah. And it was just like the classic hero's journey, being taken out of a world he knows, coming to learn more about himself and coming to terms with it, and then using the tools he's learnt to fight the baddies. And it was perfect. There was no need to carry it on, but it did.
Because it carried on because they got upgrades.
It just became more style over substance, didn't it? It had carbon copies of characters that had been used in the first Matrix that worked, but they killed them off. So I can only assume they made the first Matrix without really thinking to the future. And it just tries so hard to be profound. And like you said earlier, the kind of the Christ-like symbolism, it's just like, fuck me, this is like being hit over the head with a brick.
Yep.
It's endless monologues.
They're even in Zion, for God's sake.
And they have that sort of weird ecstasy-driven orgy scene. Like, they're in the middle of war, and yet there's time for an orgy.
When isn't there time for an orgy?
There's always time for an orgy in my world. Every question is answered with a question as well, and this is what I noticed watching it. It's so fucking frustrating. It's just like, just tell him something. Just one little snippet. Don't say that your question is answered by what choice you make. The architect's speech is just completely patronising to the audience as well.
There's only one clever thing about the second Matrix, that it starts with Trinity's death. So you're expecting, that's a nice little narrative dangling of the carrot, but it doesn't come to some kind of decent ending.
No, and that part of the story doesn't come to anything either because it ruins its own ending. You think, oh well, this is going to be the story of how he prevents that from happening. No, she's spoiler alert. She still snuffs it. The architect's speech. It's 10 minutes of pure nonsense, and like I said before, it's just so patronising to the audience because it's assuming that by using long or rarely used words that the audience is not going to understand what they're saying, and maybe there's probably a part of the audience that doesn't understand. However, if you
like watching Russell Brand,
it is like what?
Yeah, but Russell Brand's extremely handsome as well.
He is.
He's just talking complete absolute bollocks. He could have said just any normal sentence.
He says the word simulacra 3 times. Stop it.
He uses vis-a-vis.
Vis-a-vis, yeah.
Ergo. So we fucking know what that means. It's like written by a thick person with a thesaurus. With a thesaurus. Fuck my life.
With a dinosaur next to them.
A thesaurus. For our American listeners, thesaurus.
With a Jathinkisaurus. I need a minute. It is a complete sausage fest as well, and I only noticed that this last time I've watched it. The only female characters in there really only serve to further Neo's story, apart from Jada Pinkett Smith, who has such a small role.
But she's in the game. Walks out, doesn't she?
Yeah,
it was all about the game then, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's no notable female characters. It's just tons of.
And her partner is so dull they called him Ghost.
That's right.
Well, I mean, there is a significant female character. You know, Monica Bellucci's character, Persephone, who is there to just look pretty,
and has maybe one line.
Yeah, and also wind up the Merovingian, who is the worst character in these films.
He's one of the most foulest, worst written characters in cinema history. He's awful. He makes me sick.
I had to look up the quote for this one because this is my favourite line of dialogue. Because I want to think that the Wachowskis wrote this down thinking, this typifies this character, and it's from Reloaded, and it's when they first meet the Merovingian, and he says,
Château Aubryon, 1959, magnificent wine. I love French wine, like I love the French language. I have sampled every language. French is my favorite, fantastic language, especially to curse with. Nom de Dieu, de putain de bordel de merde de saloperie de connard d'enculé de ta mère. It's like wiping your ass with silk. I love it.
I was like, what the fuck?
Why end on that?
Bell end.
Well, I assume it's to make him look like a bell end, but it's just the worst dialogue.
And guess what they do on the next one? They go back to him.
Yeah. Let's
also not forget his orgasm cake.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
It makes a tuppy beat, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the fight scene with the multiple Agent Smiths as well. There's one point when Neo picks up an Agent Smith and is like swinging him around as a wet. It's laughable. I was absolutely losing my shit watching it. It's like, how did anyone take this seriously?
I bet Hugo Weaving was like, "You really want me to chew this much scenery?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Hugo Weaving chewed a lot of scenery in the first one to good effect as well. Like he was a very good baddie in the first one.
It was getting the parody of himself by
the big rumble with the 100 or so Agent Smiths. Like I think what annoyed me most about stuff like that is like in the first film, there was a lot of CGI, but the fight scenes was them fighting.
There was a lot more wires as well, though.
Yeah, but it was still, even if the background was CGI, or they were doing the bullet time or whatever, it was still two people choreographed. It kind of, when Neo sticks that lamppost into the ground and is running around kicking them sideways, there's nothing real there, is there?
I got the idea of what they were trying to do, but you just couldn't pull that off.
Like Biggie yourself, you're a massive Kung Fu flick fan, and even you don't like these films, and that's all they are.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Totally agree. Yeah, it's just lost that, because that's what was so cool. Again, this was mentioned in the documentary about the action heroes. Was they actually went from having stuntmen to trying to train the actors to actually look like they're doing stuff on the screen. So you know, all the actors in The Matrix went through 3 months or whatever longer of learning martial arts, and to see them actually pull off, they're never going to be 100% smooth, but they still looked good doing it, you know?
I think when you
In the
put this
first one,
when you
yeah.
put this next to like John Wick, the first one especially, it shows that Keanu Reeves can still he can do that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't need that. It's too metaphorical for me. Those sequels, I just it's too on the nose. There's no subtlety to it.
There's no subtlety whatsoever.
He's Jesus Christ. His name's Neo, which is the anagram of one, and it's just I don't like it.
The whole thing as well, like the first film is about him overcoming what he was to become what he is.
Yeah,
and it's like as the Wachowski sisters have come out recently and said, like, it's kind of a trans story. It's like like starting off with who he is, discovering who he actually is.
But
and
what
then
are the sequels? What are them? They're just
that's the problem. The sequels can't stand up to that because the sequels become this schlocky, overwritten bullshit. Like that opening conversation between Neo and the Indian guy on the subway platform.
Yeah.
Where they're talking about what is love and all that kind of stuff.
He's like his daughter and his family. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like none of that is necessary.
No,
because it's just padded out shit,
and that's like 20 minutes.
But that's it as well. There is all this kind of like overwritten dialogue. You could cut all that out the two films and have a much tighter 2.5 hour long film.
Or cut both those films out, like I do, and just have the first.
I mean, we haven't even gotten on to like Agent Smith infecting a human in Revolutions.
Oh, that what's his name? Yeah. It's not Cypher, but he acts like Cypher, doesn't he?
Yeah, he acts like Cypher.
And that's what I mean, carbon copies.
Carbon copy, yeah.
All the fact that the last film barely takes place in the Matrix. And when it does, it's the fucking anime battle between Smith and Neo.
There's maybe one or two scenes in the Matrix, and I think all of them, with the exception of the train station, which isn't actually in the Matrix, all of them are reused sets. They were all from the first set. There was nothing sort of out in the streets or anything.
Yeah. You get that enormous fight, which makes no sense. The films also don't give you a reason to care about Zion. Like you have the battle for Zion with all those kind of
as well, isn't it?
Well, the entire top world is, but like they got the battle for Zion with all these kind of walker robots and all that, and there's no jeopardy to it because they're fighting a cloud of machines.
Yeah,
like it's a great visual. Don't get me wrong. I think those special effects work really well there because I think it's a really visually impressive scene. But you don't give a shit about the fact that they nearly lose. There's no jeopardy to it because all you've got is just CGI everything and two actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Infuriating.
And there's just no satisfaction at the end of it either because you sort of come to learn that the Matrix has been restarted 5 times already and Neo's just playing a predetermined role.
I forgot about
it's all
that.
Gonna start, it's all going to start again at some point.
Which is where we get the Matrix 4 next year.
I forgot about that. Oh, God.
Yeah, God knows where they're going to go with the fourth one, man. Because
send everybody back for that.
You know exactly what they're going to go. They're going to use time. It's always time. It's the decade of time travel, mate. Time travel's back in a big way.
Aren't they all returning for that? So
yeah, back in time.
Decades older as well. They're not going to look the same.
Yeah. So looking at IMDb, top cast: Keanu Reeves as Neo, Christina Ricci's in it, Jessica Henwick, Carrie-Anne Moss is back as Trinity, Priyanka Chopra's in it,
Lawrence Fishburne.
I'll send you all a picture.
Jada Pinkett Smith is back as Niobe. Yeah, I'm not looking forward. The annoying thing is I will see it to see what the fucking Merovingians coming back into it. Oh God, I wish I hadn't scrolled down there.
There's so many architects in there.
No, they haven't put anyone for the cast in there. But oh God, if the Merovingians back into, I'm going to have to see it to see what bullshit they write.
How are they going to explain that he's older unless they de-age him digitally?
Yeah,
you guys have de-aged the whole fucking film.
Or deleted.
It just infuriates me. But good choice though there, Candy.
Sorry to bring the mood down.
Gadget, please get me out of this.
I'm going to take you to a bad place now because we're going to Dead Space 3.
Oh God.
So obviously I'm not going to talk in great depth about this one because I talked about it when me and Stig finished our stream of it. But yeah, so Dead Space is a long-running horror franchise by Visceral Games, published by EA. Who
first two are incredible.
Yeah, who subsequently murdered Visceral Games. They just took him out, sat him down, shot him in the head.
Yeah.
execution style. They are survival horror games set in space, oddly enough. But they have this really, really interesting sci-fi aesthetic. The monsters are these wonderfully designed, horrible body horror creatures where the general conceit of the game is you have to shoot their limbs because they're reanimated corpses with extraneous bladed limbs and
Hence
stuff like that.
Hence the name Necromorph.
Yeah, necromorphs. And you've got the whole point of the game is to fight them. You basically can't, like, a headshot won't do anything. In fact, if you knock the head off, they'll still keep coming at you. You've basically got to render them immobile by taking their limbs off. And it makes it a bit more tense because you've then got to not only aim, but you've then got to manage your ammo counts and stuff like that.
Or squish the head afterwards.
Yeah. The first game is really quiet. It's like really tense. Lots of quiet things. You're on a spaceship, and it is very tense and it's very scary. One of the few games that I still genuinely find scary. Like, the sound design is brilliant, the lighting, everything. It's a wonderfully designed game. Second game is a bit more of an action bombast. You're on a larger space station. There's a few more set pieces to
Isaac talks.
Your main character, Isaac Clarke, which is I still think that's a really dumb name. It's like, hey, we like sci-fi, let's call him Isaac Clarke.
Yeah, from two massive authors.
Yeah, it's like it's not very subtle, but the games aren't particularly subtle anyway. But yeah, it ramps it up. It's a bit more action oriented. It's not as scary as the first game, but it kind of refines the formula. The third game got EA'd hard because EA want money. They want all the money. They want exponential growth. So they fucked around with this game. They've been pushing throughout the entire series of Dead Space for there to be some kind of multiplayer component. And they put that into Dead Space 2. There was like a deathmatch multiplayer thing, which no fucker played.
Did it with Mass Effect 3.
And Visceral said to EA, nobody played the multiplayer we put in. We don't want to do it in 3. And they said, you're going to do it in 3. So they put in this really convoluted fucking co-op mechanic in there, which made no sense because the whole point of a horror game is isolation is what's scary. If you're booling around with a soldier next to you, you're not going to be scared throughout it.
Or Stig. If you're walking around with Stig beside you, I wouldn't be scared.
The general storyline of the games is that there are these things that are found throughout the universe called markers, and they're an unknown quantity, but when they are near dead flesh, they will reanimate dead flesh. And there is a religion within humanity called...
they're like monoliths, aren't they?
Yeah, within the law, there is this religion within humanity called unitology, who see the markers as these kind of divine beacons, and they will lead to a unification. No, it's not unification. What is it called?
Something shit.
Either way, it's basically this conflagration of humanity comes together to this perfect being, and they're fucking mental because what the markers do is they kill effectively. They turn humans into necromorphs when they die, and that is the general run of it. So as Isaac, you're charged with kind of destroying all these things.
Believe me, you don't want to turn into one of them. They're horrible.
No, they're nasty boys. When you get to Dead Space 3, you go to the home world for the markers.
Not in space.
Not in space. You're on a planet. And you go through, there are the usual kind of human structures and bases. You go through, you kill guys. There's human enemies this time, which are shit.
Yeah.
There's some really bad puzzles, some awful dialogue, a twist that you see coming 14 miles away. And then you get the real jump the shark moment because the planet of Tau Volantis is not where the necromorphs come from. But that's no moon.
It's a space station.
No, it is the center of the necromorphs. It's where the markers come from.
What?
It is the biggest necromorph. So you know what you have to do? Your little Isaac Clarke and your little John Carver following you.
John Carver.
Yeah. You've got to go into the center of this broken moon and kill it. You've got to kill a moon. Just need to hang in the air for a second there. You need to kill a fucking celestial body. And the thing is, I mean, that could have been an interesting thing to put into the game, but they didn't put it in an interesting way because you get up there through some gravitational bullshit, and it's a standard kind of Capcom style boss fight where you've got this giant tentacle monster hurling shit at you, and you just shoot the glowy bits enough times until it dies, and it's shit.
Yeah, it's shit.
But it jumps the shark. But like nothing in the game is believable within the world. None of the characters act in ways that they would have acted in the previous games. Like in Dead Space 2, there is this kind of running thing with Isaac's plotline where like he's traumatized from the events of the first game, and he has all this PTSD stuff going on with him. And when he gets closer to the markers kind of really fuck with his head. None of that is in Dead Space 3.
Unless you're playing as John.
Unless you're playing as John Carver, who has never encountered a marker before, doesn't know anything about them.
And he hallucinates.
But he has the PTSD effects that Isaac had in the second game. And the problem is, like, Visceral Games were really good at making games. Like, Dead Space 1 2 were fantastic. I even like Battlefield Hardline, which they did after this. Like, I loved, what was it? Dante's Inferno.
Oh, I did.
Cracking game.
I love that.
It might have been a God of War clone, but they did it well. With Dead Space 3, it got EA'd so hard that like they couldn't make a good game out of it. There was nothing that they could do to make that game good because EA wanted more action. They wanted it less scary. They wanted it to sell 5 million copies. It's a niche horror game set in space.
I remember when it came out, and there was
it's never going to sell 5 million copies.
There was a comment that came out that EA asked them if they could drop the rating down to more of a 12.
It's a body horror game.
Yeah.
We have to dismember corpses.
Can we make the blood green?
It's like, you're not trying to get it on the Wii.
I know.
You know,
we just give the bad guys Chinese burns instead of chopping the limbs off.
Yeah, it just...
Wedgies.
And the thing is, it's not the fault of Visceral Games. Like, Visceral Games made the best game that they could out of it. The problem is EA forced them into that route. And it's clear that they had to redesign the game a couple of times because the game ends so quickly. And again, a little bit like with Indigo Prophecy, it's like they wrote too much and then had to scale it so far back to actually get the game out. The story just doesn't make any sense.
And the exposition cutscenes are so long.
Oh God, some of them are really, really annoyingly long. And yeah, it took what was supposed to be one of the strongest horror franfranchises.
It could have been the new Resident Evil.
It could have been, yeah. And it took a lot of cues from the Resident Evil 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Like in its kind of how it functioned, how it told its story, and that kind of thing. It was really like the first two games, wonderfully immersive. Like it very rarely took you out of Isaac's head.
The first two. It was industrial sci-fi. We love a bit of that. Ooh,
a little bit of dirty sci-fi.
Yeah.
But this was just it just went on and on and on in stupider and stupider directions. So yeah, it was just wall to wall bullshit, and it, like I said, it jumped the shark because the story went so stupid. There was a better way to finish the story, but then again, the story might not be finished because apparently we're getting Dead Space 4 announced soon. So,
isn't that going to be? Did they say it's going to be like a remake of the first one?
Or like a remake or a reimagining?
Different characters apparently.
The jury's
though.
out, I think, at the moment, isn't it? Now I've
so
never
far
actually.
They're out till lunch.
I've never played a Dead Space game, but I do want to. If I were to play the first two games, would it come to a satisfactory conclusion?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can just play it, and it's not like an open ending or anything. I can just play the first two and put it down.
Yeah. So the endings for both games, both the first two games, are done in a way that I kind of think that Visceral didn't expect the next game to get greenlit.
Yeah, both.
So they don't leave anything hanging on. Like there is a good end. There is a satisfying end to each one, and they do well. And I would really recommend playing them. Like they actually really hold up well, and they're on Game Pass. So
maybe that's one I could stream.
Minor spoilers. The nursery scene in number 2 is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
When you go to the little kindergarten thing, it's so fucking good. Ooh.
I love it. I love that game.
Yeah.
Both of them are so good.
Yeah, 3 isn't though.
No.
I haven't finished 3, and I don't feel like I've missed out.
Excellent. Good pick. And from aliens in space to aliens in space, I want to talk about Alien 3.
Oh, actually, I will counter. Could you not have gone for Resurrection over Alien 3?
Alien 3 is the film that turned one of sci-fi's biggest badasses into a cowering wreck, and someone that until the very end is at the mercy of the colonists, let's say prisoners and stuff like that. Directed by David Fincher. I think it was his first film.
It was indeed.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a Fincher film. Bloody love a Fincher film, me. And I don't think Alien 3 is bad. It just jumps the shark. So if you don't know, it jumps the shark in the first 3 minutes of the film, where the characters that Ripley decided to risk her own life in saving, died off screen.
Yeah.
So
that's a great start.
Hicks and it is Hicks, isn't it? Hicks and Nuke are killed in the pods by the facehugger that was revealed at the end of the second film, wasn't it? It's not like we didn't know.
Yeah, it was the setup for the next film, despite the fact that it came like nearly 10 years later.
And then Alien 3 isn't an Alien or Aliens film. It's its own thing. It's more like a John Carpenter slasher horror. I get that each film in that trilogy was a different genre in a way. They made the xenomorph less terrifying for some reason. It was like a little dog xenomorph thing. They went back to the there's just one of them, which worked obviously with Alien, one of the best films ever made. And Aliens obviously expanded upon that and turned it into a war film kind of thing. Pretty much like a guerrilla warfare analogy type thing, which is, again, sensational. I'd argue till my dying day that Alien is better than Aliens, but there's people that are on the other side.
I'm with you on that.
Alien 3, on the other hand, it feels like a very British film because nearly all the actors are British in it. But some very strong acting in it, somewhat Shakespearean in places. The story centers around Ripley being, I don't know if she crash lands or they pick her up. I can't remember.
She crash lands.
Just crash lands onto a colony where all these a male colony where they were all prisoners at one point, and then decided to stay at prison. I believe they didn't want to leave. A celibate colony, deeply religious, and still run by a few wardens. Because I don't think it is an active prison anymore.
No, it is. Is
it still?
Yeah.
And
they get a lot of shit wrong with it within the law, but yeah, the prison colony is still active.
Right. But
I think some of them chose to stay there.
To stay, yeah, that's it. Yeah. I know there's a bit like this Charles Dance, his character.
Too dangerous to go out.
Yeah, he's actually a prisoner, but you can't tell until he tells them after they have sex. after knowing each other for 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks, I think she's there for about a week or something like that. I can't even remember. But yeah, I just think it jumped the shark straight away. Like, the main plot of 2 is we've all got to get out of here if we can. So many people die in 2 that you care about. Because the second one, it takes quite a while till they get onto the planet, doesn't it? To let you to get to know the characters and love them and stuff like that. And I don't know, with this third one, and I can sense already you like it, don't you, Gadget? You really like it.
It's not that I like it. It's a film with a lot of problems, but I like a lot of the atmosphere around it. Like it's got a bit of creep and dread to it, which I quite like.
Yeah, I do agree. I like the movie, but like you say, it's just
the CGI xenomorph doesn't look good, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it smacks of studio interference.
Yeah,
which I mean, if you should read the graphic novel of William Gibson's version of Alien 3.
Yeah, I know. I have.
Which is incredible, and I wish we got that film.
I just there's just something about it that the Ripley character, like her growth, her arc from the first one, where she's just a member of a salvage crew. I think the Junkers, and they're also cargo. They're basically space truckers, aren't they? And then in the second one, she's the advisor to the team. She's the only one that survived this. She's been on ice for a while. And then in the third one, she's got a bit of PTSD and stuff. And then what happens? How does she get over PTSD? She shaves her head.
I thought that would say they didn't get
aroused.
Though. They have to.
Yeah.
Or aroused. It does have that one iconic shot, though, doesn't it? With her like leaning away from the alien, the jaws kind of coming at her.
Yeah, and it won't kill her, obviously, because spoiler, she's got one inside her. I don't know. There's just something about it.
It was a troubled shoot, though, wasn't it? It went through so many script rewrites. It had Joss Whedon attached at one point.
Well, he did something else after that.
But it went through a lot of problems, that shoot. And I think the fact that they've ended... Do you know, at one point, they were supposed to land on a wooden planet. Everything was made of wood.
What?
Yeah, read about it. It's an insane idea.
Yeah, was it like colonists that had basically gone feral, effectively. The eschewed technology.
Which is why some of it is kind of present in Alien 3 with the prison colony. So there's some of that actually stayed.
I remember reading about
Fincher
saying he was deeply affected by Peter Pan as a kid and the Lost Boys and what happens to the Lost Boys when Wendy leaves and then Wendy comes back. Do you know, it kind of used that parallel and stuff like that. But I don't know, the climax is not very satisfying. You know that halfway through the film she's got an alien inside her, so she has to die.
Yeah.
Or does she? And then this leads into Alien Resurrection, where the shark had already been jumped. And that is... I don't know a single person I've met that's a fan of sci-fi and horror and stuff like that likes Alien Resurrection.
I only like one bit of it.
Which bit?
I was just going to say, there are bits in it
Credits.
that are good, but the movie as a whole is awful.
I think the swimming sequence is absolutely brilliant in terms of horror.
It's scary.
Like, it is so tense.
It's
and
Jaws,
so scary.
isn't it?
Yeah, I think that works really well. The rest of the film's a fucking trash fire.
It's awful.
And the bits with the additional Ripleys as well, the clones. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was just a bit of body horror in there.
Yeah, I think Sigourney Weaver plays that. Sigourney Weaver saves that whole scene.
Yeah.
Like her performance there, the emotional trauma that she has there is fucking excellent. But yeah.
I just think...
We should have known. We shouldn't have let Joss Whedon write shit.
Yes, that's true. And he jumped the shark when he was born. I just think it led this like franchise down a path it couldn't survive after. I think Alien 3 was the pivot point. Like, let's just try different genres for each film. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it seems like the first one was...
The director can pull it off.
The first one was the mystery. It's kind of a bit of a whodunit to it a little bit as well. And then it turns into just a scary stalker film. The second one, as I said, is the skirmish, the action film, the war film. The third one tries to go to cerebral, fails. And it tries to obviously strip it all back to one xenomorph and stuff like that, and have a message. And then Resurrection just fuck knows. And then they went Alien versus Predators. They did all those, and then they did fucking Prometheus, and then fucking Covenant. And it's just, I don't think that franchise can recover. And I think it was 3 that started that trajectory. That's when it jumped the shark. And people are going to argue because I know people love Fincher. I love Fincher, but I just, I don't know.
Yeah, but look at what Prometheus turned out with. That was Ridley Scott, who did Alien.
Yeah.
If anyone was going to save that,
he couldn't do it.
It was him, but he can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, bear in mind as well, like his experience working on 3 nearly caused Fincher to never make a film again.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I think Alien 3 should have ended the franchise quite comfortably. Like, I know it's not the best film.
Well, the main character dies.
Well, yeah, no, but like they shouldn't have kept pushing Alien. Like, the whole thing with Resurrection, with her being resurrected, and it's not even really resurrected; it's cloning, isn't it? But somehow she has her memories
and acid blood.
Yeah, like that shit. It's so stupid.
Basketball.
But I think Alien 3 is the last Alien film to really kind of broach the class warfare side of the Alien franchise. You know, it's these people who the Weyland-Yutani Corporation don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
And they're
and
left
it shows
to
you
die.
that at the end, doesn't it? When they come in and just mow people down and
exactly, yeah. The problem is it's not a well-made film, not through David Fincher's inability, but because of all the rewrites and the studio interference and stuff like that. And you know, because of all that stuff, you get the bullshit, like you get main characters being killed off screen, or which should piss everybody
and
off.
To save money, they did the looking through the alien's eyes a bit too much.
A little bit too much, yeah. Although it did work for the bait and chase sequence.
Oh yeah. That's when you needed it. That's when you needed it.
Yeah.
They nailed that.
Yeah, and a hell of a way for Pete Postlethwaite to die.
Oh, absolutely. and I don't know, it's that particular xenomorph, which I think they called it the dog xenomorph in the end because it came out of a dog.
It came out of a dog.
It's not the biggest, it's not the bulkiest, it's kind of a small creature, isn't it? It's the fastest. And that's the twist to it. It's like this fucker can get anywhere. That's really clever. That's really, it makes it more insect-like and weird. And
Yeah, there is a lot of good in it. The problem is like it. I say it's not a bad film. I think the problem is it's a very bang average film where the first two films were excellent.
But in my head, would this film have been any worse or better if Hicks and Newt survived? They could have still been there. I just don't know why they killed them.
They killed them off basically because the studio didn't want those characters in it. Because like I said, the original William Gibson script, which was written in '87, had them in it.
Right.
And they were supposed to be a big thing. And Bill Paxton, he was well up for it.
Of course he was. Game over, man.
By the time they made the film, they would have had to recast
Michael
Newt
Bain
anyway, because the little girl would have grown up by then.
Yeah,
because it was 10 years later or so. But yeah, Bill Paxton was well up for it, and
it's Michael Bain, isn't it?
Is it Michael Bain?
Hicks.
No, it's Bill.
Yeah,
is it?
Michael Bain is.
Sorry,
Hicks.
Michael Bain. Yeah, sorry, no. Yeah, I'll scratch that. Yeah. Michael Bain was well up for it, and he had signed on to it initially.
He wasn't doing anything else, was he?
No. And yeah, that film it could have been made and it could have been brilliant.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, like I guess the way to equate it is like this is the Alien franchise's Godfather 3.
Yes, perfect.
It's not a bad film, but it's nowhere near as good as it should have been.
Yeah. I'm still amazed it turned out as well as it did.
But that's I just think Alien 3 is I think that is, people say it's Resurrection, but I think 3 is the jump in the shark moment in that franchise. By the time we get to Alien vs. Predator and stuff, the shark's long gone extinct. Do you know what I mean? It's too late. We can't come back for it. And Prometheus, fucking hell. And Covenant, even worse.
Yeah.
Covenant's awful.
How do you make a film worse than that? I'd rather watch Resurrection than Covenant.
Ooh, that's a strong statement.
Seriously.
Covenant's not good, but it's not Resurrection.
I genuinely think...
I'm with you.
I think Resurrection's better than Covenant. Fight me, bro.
I hate Covenant so much.
So bad.
I tell you what jumped the shark with Alien 3, though. That's the Academy, because they nominated for an Academy Award for visual effects.
It's the ugliest one.
Must have been a slow year.
It lost to Death Becomes Her.
It does look a lot better. That's a better film.
Yeah.
Yes, Alien 3. So anyway, let's move on. Biggie.
Well, Raiders of the Lost Ark. What a wonderful action-adventure romp, which is a timeless classic.
Incredible film.
You've got Indiana Jones, The Temple of Doom, the sort of difficult second movie, but I love it.
Darker.
It is. Very Caliban.
Yep.
Caliban. And then you have Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, part indie origin story, part buddy movie with the wonderful Sean Connery playing his father. So Indiana Jones 4. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Indiana Jones, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls, which I still technically refuse to acknowledge exists, just got it wrong. I just can't understand how we ended up with that movie.
It still upsets me.
The first opening scene just... He survives a nuclear blast in a fucking lead-lined fridge. I mean, it's a great setup. I'd like the idea of what happened, but it's just the fact that he gets launched into the air with this fridge, slammed into the ground, and he opens the door and just steps out. It was like a Warner Brothers cartoon. It was just...
He steps out about fucking 500 metres away from the actual blast. He's got cancer regardless.
If you
and he's still got his hat.
If you play Fallout New Vegas and wander in a certain part of the Mojave, there is a fridge with a skeleton in it with an indie hat on it.
Yeah.
It's just... I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about it much because it just upsets me so much.
But what about the saving grace of Cate Blanchett's acting and Russian accent?
Or the saving grace of Shia LaBeouf's existence.
Oh.
Yeah, the fact that his character is called Mutt Williams.
Well done, kid. You brought a knife to a gunfight.
It's just... And the double agent reveal. I mean, what's happening with that?
Is it Wexley or something?
No, I'm not. I'm an agent. I'm a secret agent. I'm your mate.
He's not
again.
Wexley, is he? Wexley's
agent.
the... I can't remember. One of them's called Wexley or something like that.
Oh,
I can't remember. I've seen this film once.
The swinging through the jungle with the monkeys like they're best mates. It's just...
About the fire ants.
Aliens.
They're not aliens.
Of course. It's aliens. It's always aliens.
They're not aliens, though. They're extra-dimensional beings, remember?
That's an alien.
They're not. They're not from
aliens.
space. They're from a different
It's aliens.
plane of existence.
And this was the one that was supposedly, because he's revealed as Indiana Jones' son, that you thought that would be it, that the mantle's being passed over, and we're going to have the younger version of Indiana Jones. No, Harrison Ford is currently filming. He's got a shoulder injury already from, I think, opening the door.
That might have something to do with Shia LaBeouf literally jumping his own shark.
Yeah, he really
well
did.
do.
I forgot Ray Winstone was in this.
Yeah,
He was the double agent.
Yeah.
And the simple fact is, he's like 74. Now, I'm not ageist, because clearly I'm on this podcast, but the simple fact that he's 74 going in to play Indiana Jones, what is he going to be pulling off in this movie? I just don't understand
It's
it.
gonna be like Vietnam War or something, isn't it?
He's 78.
Stopped. Oh, 78. I mean, he should
He
have
does smoke a lot of weed, so maybe that's keeping him nice and fresh.
That said, I would rather see him play a 35-year-old Indiana Jones than have somebody else play Indiana Jones. Like, I don't mind if it's a mantle that's being passed on, but I would have rather seen him play Han Solo in the Solo movie than somebody else.
What, being de-aged?
Yeah, I'd rather that. Or even not being de-aged.
But that can't be an origin
it's so
story, no,
iconic.
if he's older.
It's so iconic for him, though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but I agree. I think, if you're ever going to have another Indiana Jones, you're going to have to do some serious casting to pull that off. I mean, I wouldn't know. I can't even think.
Chris
of any
Pratt's not
actors that
busy.
can pull that off.
I was going to say Chris
no,
Pratt.
don't put Chris Pratt into that.
No. But yeah, I'm just sorry. I'm just so disappointed. I've got the collect. Do you know what? I was in Tesco's today. £80 for the 4K new release of the Indiana Jones quadrilogy. £80 for 4K.
I hope they'd be remastered, because I mean, I know they were good-looking films at the time, but
That's
done
80
in
club
the
card
80s.
points, though. Think about it.
But I know that.
It's an investment.
But yeah, I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 3. 2 gets a lot of flack sometimes, but I really enjoyed it.
2
I
was
still
the one that
like it.
hasn't aged the best.
Yeah, I would imagine there's some very.
Yes.
What's the minecart scenes probably don't look so great.
It's not very politically correct as well.
It's not politically correct at all. Yeah, there's probably a few issues with that movie, but actually, as the story of Indiana Jones, I really enjoyed.
My favourite is Last Crusade. I think it's one of the best Sunday afternoon films you can watch, along with like Back to the Future and things like that.
It's always Raiders for me. I love 3. I think it's a very close call, but Raiders for me. But yeah, what happened before? I just don't understand why that movie exists. It's awful.
Indy 4 is one of the few films that I've gone to see in the cinema and I've fallen asleep. That's how much I cared for it. And I can barely recall any of it apart from how awful Shia LaBeouf is. Just completely uncharismatic, isn't he?
People
totally.
I don't want to be like Mr. Contrarian and stuff like that, but people really loved Shia LaBeouf, and I would always say from day I'm like, I don't like this kid. I don't like him. And everyone's like, yeah, he's from my child. Apparently, he's in some kind of kids show or something like that.
he was in Holes, wasn't he?
I don't even know what that
Disney
is.
film, Holes. Yeah.
But people are like, I love him, and people love the first Transformers film. I mean, sorry, but you've got bad taste. Terrible. I've never seen him in anything good ever. So fuck Shia LaBeouf. Fuck him.
Yeah. Nothing. I can remember so much from 1, 2, and 3. I can't really remember anything apart from the fridge in 4. There's just very little stands out in that movie for me.
What?
It is. It's a dreary, dull film, and that's the problem. It's like it didn't need to exist. Like the original 3 indie films, they are perfect as they are. They just exist. They are these engaging romps, slightly problematic in places, but they are these kind of.
They're just
almost
pulp,
like kind of
the pulp from
yeah,
comics.
they're like 40s and 50s style kind of adventure
like
films.
Tintin.
Yeah, and they work as they are. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull tried to do that thing which I think a lot of films, when they're resurrected after a certain period of time, try to overcomplicate it. Like the fact I know the first 3 Indiana Jones films dealt with kind of supernaturally stuff, but having trans-dimensional beings and
Aliens.
yeah, and stuff like that, like
not aliens.
affecting. whatever the fuck they are, they're not from this world. And having them in it is just like, no, you're actually kind of stretching believability here.
Yeah. It's because we went from God's Ark, or the Ark of the Covenant, Moses' Ark, whatever it is. Yeah. Then we went to Indian myth. Then we went to Jesus. Where can we go next? Interdimensional kind of aliens.
Yeah, and it's
what they're going to do on the next one. Flat Earth. I'm telling you now, it's flat Earth. They're going to discover that the Earth is actually flat. By the way, I am not a flat earther.
Indiana Jones and the flat Earth.
Indiana Jones and the government drones instead of birds.
Who's not old enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Oh, God, yeah. Imagine. Excellent. So, Candy, take us away. Take us out.
So, my second one is Hannibal, the TV series. So, I do need to issue an apology to Lawrence Fishburne because this is the second time I've come from this evening.
You really don't like him.
I do like him. I just don't like the things that...
He listens to this and
all. Bad career choices.
I don't like his choices. I like it. I like how they start off, but as I said, they jumped the shark. So, I would say at this point, I am a huge fan of Hannibal. I adored the first two series.
I do.
It's one of the only shows I've ever actually had to turn off and wait till it was light to watch it. There's some scenes that just it made
me fall in love with Mads Mikkelsen.
He's
so good.
Absolutely, he's so perfectly cast as Hannibal, and I never thought anyone.
He's better than Hopkins, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't think anyone could rival him, but he captures the spirit of Hannibal from the books just so perfectly.
I totally agree.
And he keeps a European accent.
Yeah. So sophisticated, so charming, and sort of more age appropriate as well. I mean, I think I'd find it difficult to be charmed by Anthony Hopkins as much as old Mads. Yeah.
But when I heard there was going to be a TV series based on the character, and I saw who was playing him, I was just like, I'm not seeing this at all.
Well, he was relatively unknown, wasn't he, at the time? I think it was probably, with the exception of Casino Royale, I think it was probably his first big role.
Le Chiffre.
Yeah.
Le Chiffre.
Yeah. But it was such a perfect cat and mouse chase between Will Graham and Hannibal as well. Like Hannibal just toying with him to see how far he could push Will, push him to create another murderer, and then Will Graham was battling with his own brain condition, not knowing what he could do.
And in the books, Will Graham is way better than Clarice Starling, I think.
Yeah.
It's just a better character.
He's just a nutter as well. But it was the third season, and it sort of just took a turn for the worse, and for want of a better phrase, it just kind of went up its own arse. It became completely sort of self-indulgent.
They went to Europe, didn't they?
Yeah, so it was a departure from the original setting, which that's not the reason it changed tone, but it didn't help.
No.
The first two seasons, it was so intelligent, and it lost everything that sort of made it intelligent. It was replaced with kind of cheap throwaway relationships between a couple of the characters, some of them completely unnecessarily. And it shipped a few things that were on Reddit, and they focused it too much on that, I think, trying to please the fans.
Well, the first two seasons were like a mixture of Hannibal and Red Dragon, weren't they?
Yeah.
Which are the better two books, in my opinion.
So it was the third season that went to Red Dragon.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Sorry.
Oh, I thought I was the same as you. I thought it was like...
No, it was... Because I forget how the books canonically work. Is Red Dragon the first one in the books?
It's Red Dragon, then Silence of the Lambs, and Hannibal.
Yeah, and then Hannibal Rising, which no one read.
Oh, I loved Hannibal Rising. I thought that was a good one.
You're one of the tens of people that like that.
It's always me, isn't it? I just love awful things, apparently. The third season, it began with the end of Hannibal. So
that's
Mason Verger was still in it.
Yeah, Verger's still in it. Yeah.
And he kind of came to a bit of a disappointing end because they could have made his character a lot more, and I think they were doing interesting things with where it was going.
Verger is a big baddie in the books.
Yeah, and that just sort of fizzled out to make way for Red Dragon. They just sort of mishandled it and did it a real disservice. I thought they gave very little backstory, which is fine if you have read the books, but I think we can probably assume that most people watching the show probably hadn't.
Yeah.
And there was no real ending for the Red Dragon plot either. So he was the weakest antagonist of the whole series.
Yeah.
And the episodes were just stretched out too long, and there was very little actual content.
Did they know it was cancelled at this point? I
don't think they did because they ended it on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think it got cancelled like in pre-production of season 4.
And a lot of people really praised the ending, but I didn't think
like
it was
it.
great. And it just, it became, like, you've used this analogy before, but it did become a perfume commercial, I think, at places. And just these long, drawn-out, artistic
There's shots on
scenes
architecture for ages, isn't there?
Yeah, so there was just very little content. So I was really disappointed with that. And it just... It just went absolutely up its own bum, I'm afraid.
Shut the bed.
Shut the bed.
I agree with you massively. I think the first season is almost essential telly. The second season starts getting a bit trippy. But yeah, the third season, wow. But
I saw the second season whilst I had an actual flu.
Ooh, so you were tripping as well.
I was absolutely hallucinating and trying to watch that as well, which...
You need to be sober watching that.
I really enjoyed. Yeah, I actually found it really weird sensation watching that. But, I still enjoyed
Some of the shots on
week.
the first season where Hannibal's preparing food is incredible. Yeah. And you're like,
it's like a cookery show,
I want to eat that, even though you might not be aware that some of it might be human. You can't tell. You never know.
Yeah. And the delight in his face when he serves the food out, it's brilliant, just watching his face.
And that's what Silence of the Lambs missed, I think. Just the actual, the preparation and the joy it brought him to just really cook up a human well.
As it's called, long pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
What is this long pig?
Yummy. So, yeah, brilliant. That's it for our... main topic. We're going to do the mailbag now. Gadget.
Oh,
How bulging is it?
It's pretty bulging.
Oh, dear.
Starting off with Alex79UK. He's come in with, I think Lost jumped the shark when midway through the 4th season, the entire island started travelling through time.
What?
A lot of people dropped off. Suckers. Lost was the greatest show that ever has or ever will be. Loved it from start to batshit crazy finish.
Really?
I have a real love-hate relationship with Lost.
I stopped after season 2.
I think most of the world did. I never watched it. I thought it looked dreary.
I've just never been to Matthew Fox. I've never been into him.
It just started off so well, though. It just delivered that first... I don't know if it was the first season or just the first few episodes, which just... You so much wanted to know what was going to happen.
Yeah, the polar bear, the smoke monster, all that.
It was brilliant. It was so good. Really interesting.
I think it's one of the shows that really kicked off kind of bingeable viewing, didn't it? Sort of. Yeah. And it was the first one. I think the finale was shown in the US at the same time as it was shown in England. So I remember staying up and watching it till like 4 o'clock in the morning just to see what happened. In the hope that there would be some answers, and there weren't.
Didn't they? I stopped watching after season 2 because I went travelling and stuff. But did they did they like leave the island or something and go back to the island?
This is a spoiler for you, but I assume we're revealing this.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck it.
It was purgatory all for the whole...
Oh, God.
Yeah. It was a
and they ended up just seeing backstories, what their life could have been if they'd lived. And, it was a mess. There were times when I just switched off completely watching it, thinking, what on earth am I watching? I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. It's so hard to follow at times. It was, yeah.
Sounds Creepy Pod has come in saying, just finished watching America the Motion Picture, and I think they've officially made jumping the shark into Olympic sport.
I don't even know what that is.
Don't get me wrong, it was entertaining as hell and had fantastic voice acting and awesome animation, but everything else is freaking bonkers. So, I had to look this up because I didn't know what the fuck
No,
this
I
was.
still don't.
I've seen the clip of this, I think.
I'm on the Wikipedia page right now, okay?
Mm.
This is the plot. In an alternate world and timeline, President George Washington must go to war to free the country from the British Army to retrieve the Declaration of Independence, save his wife Martha, and avenge the death of his best friend Abe Lincoln. But to do so, he must recruit rebel rouser Samuel Adams, Chinese-American female scientist Thomas Edison, the fastest racist in the colonies Paul Revere, native chief Geronimo, and blacksmith John Henry to rally more allies for the American Revolution to defeat King James and the traitor Benedict Arnold.
And that's a series?
No, it's a film. It's an animated film.
Oh, it's animated.
That's a lot of information to process.
It is.
So the cast, okay? Channing Tatum as George Washington.
What?
Jason Mantzoukas as Sam Adams.
Perfect.
Olivia Munn as female Chinese version of Thomas Edison.
What?
Bobby Moynihan as Paul Revere, Judy Greer as Martha Washington, Will Forte as Abe Lincoln, Raul Trujillo as Geronimo, Killer Mike as John Henry.
Jesus Christ.
Simon Pegg as King James.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And, okay, brace yourself for this one. Andy Samberg as Benedict Cosby Arnold, a werewolf version of Benedict Arnold.
Wow.
I could have predicted that.
That's...
Yeah.
This...
Yeah.
That's weird.
This sounds like a character.
I never thought they'd...
The Brooklyn 999 guy would have come up with a plot for
I never thought they'd actually get worse than Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer.
Oh, I forgot about
But
that.
it sounds like they have.
Yeah. And it's obviously time traveling, so there is a voice actor here for a guard for the Titanic.
No, man. This is a fucking fever dream. What's this on? What's this show? This film on?
Netflix.
Oh my God, I need to watch it tonight.
It came out
I'm gonna watch it right now.
I would say it came out like 3 or 4 days ago.
Shit, wow. I like Channing Tatum as well.
Has it been? What's the reviews for
it? Terrible. It's got 36% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Perfect.
The website's critics' consensus reads, America the Motion Picture is definitely outrageous and possibly patriotic. The problem is it's just not very funny. But yeah,
synopsis is quite funny.
Yeah. I don't have any more words for it. I'm going to have to watch it. I like the art style for it. The art style looks really good.
What kind of animation is it?
Like cartoon animation. Like it's not CGI.
Oh, right. Oh, like Archer or something.
It's from the people who made Archer.
Oh, there you go. Boom, boom.
So in fact, the poster for it says, from the founding fathers of Archer, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, The Expendables, and Magic Mike.
Oh, I love Magic Mike as well. It's one of my favourite films.
Yeah, because Channing Tatum is one of the producers. Yeah, that's... Thanks for that, guys. That's so much information I can't pass. I'm going to go back to sensibility with Smashiest Clay, because he's come in saying, Dallas is a great example of jumping the shark. One of the most popular TV shows of its day decided to have an entire season become a dream sequence so they could undo the fatal shooting of a major character. The actor had actually voluntarily left the show for other projects, but the fan response was so bad they wrote him back in with the "it was all a dream" device and ignored the previous year of television. Fans felt cheated and the show took a dive in ratings, taking all the stakes out. Your show turns out to be a bad idea.
They did it on Neighbours as well, didn't they? With the dog.
I think so, yeah. He goes on to say Battlestar Galactica was a great show that apparently never planned what it was going to do to answer its great mystery plots. The writers never knew where they were going, and that led to the frankly weird end to the 3rd season. The song All Along the Watchtower still fills me with irrational anger. The revelation of the final Cylons felt weird, it made no sense, and just left far more questions than answers. Starbuck has returned from the dead with no explanation, and it all leads to a nearly incomprehensible 4th season.
Yeah, I love Jimi Hendrix. It's my favourite track of his as well. But even I was just sitting there watching this show I loved, going, what are they doing? Why is this in here?
He's a banging song.
He then continues, Dexter was an excellent television series, and the Trinity Killer season is a real high point. But the show very quickly went downhill after that. I think everyone agrees that the Trinity Killer was the last good season.
I've still never watched it, even though you've told me to.
Yeah.
It's great.
The moment where Deb finds out her brother is the killer and then decides she has feelings for him is premium jump the shark territory. And I can't even bring myself to talk about the finale. And honourable mentions go to True Blood revealing Suki was a goddamn fairy and Sherlock having an evil sister he conveniently forgot all about.
Yeah, I remember that. I fucking loved Sherlock show, and that bit was Jesus Christ.
Fucking hate Sherlock.
Really?
Last up. Is that last up, I believe? No, it isn't. Second to last up. Bobby Wayne, your old pudding buddy, has come in and he's done a deadbeat punk. He's given us an essay. He says, a franchise that jumped the entire megalodon for me is the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise.
Yeah, after the second one.
Yeah, the earliest video game memory I have is Sonic 2 on the Mega Drive. My dear old grandma used to own the only console in the family, and I loved the game. I would spend hours playing as Tails, dying repeatedly, while my much more coordinated gran would hunt Robotnik down on every stage as Sonic. I played the third game to death when my parents finally got me a console too, and it was an utter amazement when the Sonic & Knuckles cartridge came out, arguably the first instance of an expansion pack I was aware of. I had a decent collection of comic books, religiously watched the cartoon and absorbed as much of the lore as possible, since the games offered no real story to them. Then came along the rise of 3D gaming, and with it, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh god.
These games were solid entries into a new world for Sonic where the new dimension of movement might have been too difficult for the blue blur to transition into. However, an easy to follow and fairly decent story along with voice acting and side quests kept the games fun and engaging, and the ability to play as different characters on Sonic Adventure 2 kept things fresh. I loved the direction Sonic was going in and the attitude, the music aesthetic, the new and interesting characters. It was a great time to be a Sonic fan.
I know where this is going.
Then came Sonic Heroes. A travesty. Very much on-rails level design where you ran through as a team of 3 heroes and alternated between which character led up front for varying abilities. It became more a case of pressing the jump buttons at the right time. The levels always felt like they were moving regardless of which way you pushed the stick, and the story was all too forgettable. The minute I saw the following game advertised Shadow the Hedgehog, I gave up on the franchise. Sega has then struggled with Sonic, and his greatest success came from cameo appearances and team-ups in Mario and Sonic, Super Smash Bros., etc. On the passing of dear old Gran, I've revisited the OG Sega Sonic games for the nostalgia, but until I see them get it right, Sonic remains in the past. And also, it's Dr. Robotnik and nothing else.
Yeah,
he's
Eggman now, isn't he? Something.
He was Eggman in the original games. He was Dr. Robotnik for the cartoon.
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
It in the Mega Drive games. He's Eggman. He's Dr. Eggman.
Is he?
They called him Robotnik in the cartoon because people. I think the producers thought Eggman would be like a thing that kids would bully other kids with. Like it's like a name to call other kids.
Well, I don't know the Sonic lore because I think Sonic's crap.
The
thing is, he hasn't mentioned Sonic some of the worst offenders. Like he didn't mention Sonic Unleashed.
What about when Sonic kissed a human?
Oh, yeah,
that happened. Interspecies relationships frowned upon.
Or Sonic Boom. Remember that one?
Yeah. After Sonic 2, I mean, people like Sonic 3. It's pretty much more the same, but Sonic 2 was the highlight for me. It's as good as it's ever going to get. I know they say, play that new one. They did like a, what's it called? Mania, Sonic Mania.
Yeah, well, Sonic Mania is really good, and I'd recommend you play that, Bobby. It's the best Sonic game there's been for about 15 years.
But it's not by Sega, is it? It's by...
No, that's why it's good.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
it's basically
published by Sega, obviously.
Yeah, it's published by Sega, and what they did was they took some classic levels, so there's like Green Hill Zone 1 and stuff like that, and they kind of copied them and up-resed them and made them work in the modern engine. And then the second and third level of each world is kind of reimagined. So it's taking the template from the first level that you know, and then like putting a new level into it. And like one of the bosses in it is Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Oh, which is a good game.
Which is a good game, but that's basically the boss. And it's like, it is really, really good. It's been on sale. It was free on Epic Store recently. No, it's an absolutely fantastic game. Hard as nails. Like I forgot how hard the Sonic games are.
Can be, yeah.
Yeah. But last up, we have John Cheetham. We always like a John Cheetham email.
Oh, yeah.
Says, hello, folks. My first thought for this was Resident Evil. Although that is my first thought for a lot of things, to be fair. This is an interesting one, partly because the first game in the franchise does actually feature a very unjumpable shark. And partly because it's hard to agree when it did definitively jump the shark. Was it when Wesker developed superpowers and had an anime-style punch-up with Chris and Code Veronica? When Chris then punched the famous boulder. I haven't got to Resi 6's famous zombie T-Rex Derek on my playthrough, but I did fight what looked like an undead Shrek the size of an apartment building.
The zombie T-Rex is a fleshy zombie T-Rex. Yeah. It's incredible.
So there's multiple contenders in that entry alone. Even a beloved title like 4 has you being chased by a giant mecha Salazar and escaping on a jet ski at the end. I mean, when you write it like that, it does sound shark jumpy.
And Resident Evil 4 has 3 boulder chasers on it.
It does. To be honest, the series lends itself to shark jumping, city nuking, werewolf battling absurdity, and most of the time makes it work. Have you played End of Zoe? It's ludicrously brilliant.
Yeah.
What about the advert for Claire's... People. Yeah. What about the advert for Claire's anti-bioterrorism organization at the start of Revelations 2? Hilarious. It is. Even more so for being totally uncalled for and unexpected. The series is off its rocker at the best of times. Maybe that's why whenever it did jump the shark, maybe that's why whenever it did jump the shark, it's back now strong as ever, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It jumped the shark, Code Veronica. It really did.
I think it jumped the shark from the beginning, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I suppose
just with the dialogue.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. With Code Veronica, though.
You're thinking back to Barry Burton quotes now, aren't you?
And don't open that door. I love that one.
Is that Chris's blood?
Yeah. It's a monster. And that first zombie takes 5 Colt Python shots.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Great series.
Love Resident Evil, but yeah, I think Code Veronica's the one for me where it's like is the infamous Wesker versus Alexia Ashford fight where he sprints across the wall like the Matrix and she fires blood that she then sets on fire after him and he's got lizard eyes. It's just fucking crazy. Love Code Veronica, but that's when it jumped the shark. Not what people think. Not 5, not 6. It was Code Veronica.
It's well before those times. But yeah, that's everything we've had this week. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'm so going to watch America the Motion Picture.
So am I. Excellent, thank you. Now, let's move on to the socials. Stig, have you got the socials? Stig?
Hello. Hello, yes, Stig here.
That's not Stig's accent. Stig's accent is like, hello there, it is I, Stig, from Yorkshire. Here is my Yorkshire accent.
I'm actually Stig's butler, so I'm here to tell you the socials. So you can find us on Twitter at Modern Escapism. On there, you'll find a link to all of our episodes, social and Discord. If you have any comments, you can either tweet us or email us at modernescapismpod@gmail.com. If you'd like to watch gaming streams, come and watch us at twitch.tv/modernescapism. On Saturday, Oodles, you're starting Fable, aren't you?
Yeah, because I've never really played that. I've played bits of them, but I was never an Xbox guy. More my pace, fantasy, kind of RPG kind of thing. And you guys told me Stephen Fry's in it, so I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Mondays we have Biggie Dies. You can watch Biggie continue his playthrough of Dark Souls. He's still going.
Man, those archers.
I sent you that video. You know what to do.
That nearly broke me.
No speed runs. Wednesday, Gadget does a variety stream. What are you doing this week, Gadget?
I'm going to carry on with the second. Well, by the time this comes out, remember Time Flat Circle, Past and all. I will have done the second episode of Dusk, which I really enjoyed doing. I really enjoyed the first one. The soundtrack is banging. Oodles, you'll love it. It's metal as fuck.
I watched it in the bath.
Well, why are you always naked when you watch me? It's really upsetting.
That is really weird.
It's a compliment.
No, it's because it just coincides with my weekly bath.
Oh yeah, the weekly scraping.
I have a shower every day, but the bath is a Wednesday night thing. It's a treat.
Well, that's a treat, isn't it? Yeah.
Bathly treat.
Thursdays we have Candy's Creature Feature. That's my horror stream, and we're currently playing Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
Pure banger.
Absolute banger. So we've just done the first 2 sections and we're about to head through the mountain, so shit's about to get real. You can find us on patreon.com/modernescapism. Gadget spoke about it earlier. We've got 3 tiers: £5 for Modern Escapees, £5 for Scorched Sheep, or £7.50 for the Biggie Bundle, which gets you both. And I absolutely cannot recommend this enough. You get so much content. You get low-key spoiler specials every Friday, and you get monthly specials, and I know some of the specials that we've got planned, and you won't want to miss it. Next week, we got Horribly Miscast and how you'd recast it.
Yes.
So
pretty much of a concept episode. We do like those, where we get to choose our own cast. We've got no budget. We're just going to go crazy.
And if you can, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you can find to give us a 5-star review. We do read all of them. We only read the 5-star reviews. So even if you want to moan at us, give us a 5-star.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And thank you all again for joining me, except for Stig. And thank you all for listening. And for the patrons, we'll meet you around the back for a quick smoke. For everyone else, don't forget your armbands. I ain't got an ending. What can I say?
Armbands? What?
The end.
You know your armbands when you go jump in the shower?
No. Okay. Cue the music.
Bye. I don't want her shitting on my bed.